Chapter 1736. Brother from the D family, why did you kill my people? Do you know that they're from the evil spirit sect? The sect master of the evil moon sect asked. His heart was bleeding. An absolute saint had been killed just like that. It was a great loss. Even a top sect didn't have many absolute saints. Of course I know. The noble middle-aged man said indifferently. Since you know, why are you helping them? The sect master of the evil moon sect shouted. Helping them? What a joke. Come out. The noble middle-aged man said indifferently. Boom. 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 At this moment, terrifying auras came from all directions. Beams of golden sword light shot into the sky, stirring up the thick fog. Then, many figures appeared in front of everyone. They were wearing golden robes and jade crowns. They were very noble, and their auras were very similar to that of the middle-aged man. They were all from the D family, and there were many of them. There were more than 10,000 of them, and each of them emitted a terrifying aura. There were many bright saints and great saints. There were even more than a dozen absolute saints. Among them, 3 of them had the most terrifying auras. They weren't weaker than the noble middle-aged man. They were absolute saints at the peak. Together with the noble middle-aged man, there were 4 absolute saints at the peak guarding the 4 directions. At this moment, the strong cultivators of the various sects turned pale. They were surrounded. Your D family has also joined the evil spirit sect. Someone shouted. What do you mean by joining? We're just cooperating. The noble middle-aged man said indifferently. Ha ha ha, I said that you're the ones who will die today. The evil spirit sect will eventually rule the Tsang state. The sect master of the Sky Universe Demon sect laughed. The hearts of Lu Ming and the others sank. They knew that they had fallen into a trap. The other party had been waiting for them. But how could they have expected such a thing? How could they have expected that the D family had also joined the evil spirit sect and sent out such a shocking force? They wanted to destroy them in one fell swoop. Your D family sent so many strong cultivators to the Tsang state. Aren't you afraid that the Cloud Emperor Mountain will take advantage of the situation? The Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon sect said, frowning. Today, they were in trouble. Their opponent's strength was far above theirs. If they fought, they had no hope at all. Especially since the other side had 4 absolute saints of the Absolute Saint Realm. 4 absolute saints of the Absolute Saint Realm were enough to deal with all the absolute saints. Plus, they didn't know if the other side had more absolute saints in the dark. It seems like you guys are still unwilling to give up. I'll make you give up. Half a month ago, the Cloud Emperor Mountain was destroyed by my D clan, and Emperor Yun was killed by my martial monarch. The noble middle-aged man said. What? Cloud Emperor Mountain has been destroyed. Emperor Yun was killed? How is that possible? He's a great emperor. Countless people cried out in shock, revealing looks of disbelief. It was simply unbelievable. The Tsang Prefecture, the Cloud Prefecture where the Cloud Emperor Mountain was located, and the Emperor Prefecture where the D clan was located. Yun State was located in the west of Tsang State, while Emperor State was located in the northwest of Tsang State. Other than that, there were no other Emperor-level forces. Tsang Prefecture, Emperor Prefecture, and Cloud Prefecture were actually located in the middle of the Cloud Mist Mountain Range. The terrain was flat and the origin chi was dense. The Cloud Mist Mountain Range was vast and boundless. It was surrounded by steep and evil mountains with countless ferocious beasts. Only the 3 prefectures had been created by Emperor Tsang, Emperor Yun, and the martial monarchs of the D clan a long time ago. It was suitable for the human race to reproduce and cultivate. There were other Emperor-level forces outside the Cloud Mist Mountain Range, but they were all very far away from the 3 prefectures. In the past, the 3 major forces were at odds with each other and no one could do anything to the other. Since Emperor Tsang's accident, the strength of the Tsang Prefecture had plummeted. However, the Cloud Emperor Mountain and the D clan were at odds with each other. The Tsang Prefecture was able to survive between the two forces and maintain a strange stability. Neither the Cloud Emperor Mountain nor the D clan could touch the Tsang Prefecture. If one side attacked the Tsang Prefecture, the other side would take advantage of the situation. Moreover, Emperor Yun and the martial monarchs of the D clan were at the same level. No one could do anything to the other. But now, Emperor Yun had been killed and Cloud Emperor Mountain had been destroyed. This way, the balance was completely broken. No one could stop the D clan. It must be the evil spirit sect. It must be the evil spirit sect's emperors who helped the D clan's emperors to kill Emperor Yun. It's over, it's over. We can't win against the evil spirit sect. Many people sighed. They knew that the Cloud Emperor Mountain had been destroyed and the D clan had sent a large number of experts. They no longer had any chance. Why are you talking so much nonsense with them? Just kill them. The Sky Universe Demon Sect Master shouted. Wait a minute. At this moment, two figures appeared in the air. They were both wearing black robes. One of them was a white-haired elder, and the other was a skinny old woman. Greetings to the two elders. The Sky Universe Demon Sect Master's expression changed when he saw the two of them. He hurriedly bowed. Everyone's heart sank even more. Each of the evil spirit sect's elders was an existence that stood at the peak of the sage stage. They were extremely terrifying. Now that two of them had come, the other party was too strong. They no longer had any chance. The white-haired elder nodded. Then, his gaze swept across the Cloud Dragon Valley Master and the others. Our evil spirit sect has returned. We are still weak and need all our strength. As long as you surrender and work for our evil spirit sect in the future, we can spare you. Many people's hearts moved, and their eyes flickered. If they fought today, only death would await them. Rather than being killed, they might as well submit to the evil spirit sect. Of course, everyone who surrenders will place a restriction on your soul or spiritual deity. As long as you dare to resist, your soul will be destroyed with a thought. The white-haired elder's voice turned cold. Many people's expressions turned ugly. If a restriction was placed on their soul or spiritual deity, they would have no freedom at all. They would have to obey the orders of the evil spirit sect. Alright, I'll give you 3 minutes to consider whether to surrender or not. If you surrender, you can live. If you don't, you will die. The white-haired elder announced. Many people's expressions turned ugly. Their eyes flickered as they sized up their surroundings. However, they were completely surrounded. There were too many experts from the D family. Coupled with the original members of the evil spirit sect, they had no chance. The difference was too great. It was impossible to break out of the encirclement. If they attacked, only death awaited them. Time passed minute by minute, and the atmosphere became more and more solemn. Very soon, 3 minutes had passed. I'm willing to surrender. The entire Heavenly God sect is willing to surrender. A voice rang out. It was the Heavenly God sect master. He was the first to speak. Alright, a wise man submits to circumstances. Come forward. I will place a restriction on your soul or spiritual deity. The skinny old woman spoke. Her voice was ear-piercing and unpleasant. Although the Heavenly God sect master was unwilling, he still led the Heavenly God sect experts forward. Chapter 1737. After the evil spirit sect's skinny old woman set up a restriction for the Heavenly Divine sect master, she continued to set up restrictions for the other members of the Heavenly Divine sect. She was slower at setting up restrictions for those with higher cultivation levels, but she was faster at setting up restrictions for those with lower cultivation levels. With a wave of her hand, she set up restrictions one by one. The person who was placed under the restriction stood obediently behind the skinny old woman. Master, I want to charge out. In the crowd, Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's small hand tightly as he sent a voice transmission to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. He was unwilling to be controlled by the evil spirit sect and become their puppet. That would be a fate worse than death. Moreover, there was still Xian Yanqing. Even if he had to risk his life, he would not let Xian Yanqing fall into the hands of the evil spirit sect again. All right. Unexpectedly, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master nodded directly and sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. I will contact the others and attack together. No matter what, you young people must be sent out. Otherwise, we will really have no hope. Lu Ming was rather touched. It seemed that the Cloud Dragon Valley Master did not intend to surrender. Even if Lu Ming did not say anything, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master would think of a way to charge out. Master, the halberd I obtained from the 100 Races battlefield only has 2 types of energy. I used one in the Sky Universe Demon Sect last time, and there is still one more. If I use my full strength, I can kill a perfected absolute saint in one fell swoop. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. All right. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's eyes lit up. Originally, he was not very confident because there was a perfected absolute saint guarding in each direction. In addition, there were 2 evil spirit sect elders. Even if he could join forces and attack together, he would not have much of a chance. However, if Lu Ming could kill a perfected absolute saint, they would be able to break out from that direction. The possibility of charging out would be greatly increased. I will contact the others first. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said and immediately sent a voice transmission to Patriarch Ice Dragon. Patriarch Ice Dragon naturally agreed. Then, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master sent voice transmissions to the Life and Death Sword Sect Master, Demon Castle Master, Heavenly Palace Master, and the others. Most of the people agreed. However, people from the Demonic Moon Sect and the Payuan family shook their heads and sighed. They didn't dare to gamble. We've already discussed it. When the time comes, the Patriarch and I will bring you and Nianqing to break out of the encirclement. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Just me and Shaoqing. What about my senior brothers and the other disciples of the Dragon God Valley? Lu Ming's heart shook as he said. There's no other way. The more people we bring, the lower the chances of us escaping. Bringing them along will only cause them to die. I'll get them to surrender and join the evil spirit sect first. You and Nianqing have the best talent. Only if you escape will there be hope. In the future, when your cultivation reaches great success, you can come back to save them. If you're captured, the others will have even less hope. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. But, Lu Ming really couldn't bear it. There's no need to say more. Remember, all of you are our hope. The other sect leaders also think the same way. They will only bring 1 or 2 of their most outstanding disciples to break out of the encirclement. Only by protecting all of you can we have hope. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master transmitted his voice to Yang Tianzong and the others. Yang Tianzong and the others trembled and then nodded without hesitation. Junior brother, I'm counting on you. I'll wait for you to come and save me in the future. Yang Tianzong smiled and transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Then, he stepped out and shouted, I want to surrender. I want to surrender too. Lu Ming's other senior brothers and the others of the Dragon God Valley also walked out and shouted their surrender. At this moment, Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly and felt a lump in his throat. Some people might really be afraid of death, which was why they surrendered. But Lu Ming knew Yang Tianzong and the others very well. They would definitely rather die than surrender. But at this moment, they surrendered without hesitation. Their goal was to make Lu Ming and the others feel at ease, and also to make the people of the evil spirit sect and the D family lower their guard. Senior brother, if I escape, I'll definitely come back to save you in the future. I'll make the evil spirit sect and the D family disappear from Yuan Lu. Lu Ming swore in his heart. I surrender. People from the other sects kept shouting their surrender. Indeed, the people of the evil spirit sect were satisfied. The skinny old woman waved her hand and set up a restriction on Yang Tianzong and the others. Now's the time. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. Bam! Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed to the west. Swoosh! 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 At the same time, Xian Yanqing, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master, Ice Dragon Patriarch, and the Life and Death Sword Sect leader also moved and rushed to the west. You still want to resist? You're courting death. A perfected absolute saint in the west shouted. A golden battle sword appeared in his hand, and a terrifying aura burst out. A terrifying golden sword radiance slashed toward Lu Ming and the others. The power of a perfected absolute saint's attack was too terrifying. It suppressed the surroundings and destroyed everything in its path. The expressions of the Cloud Dragon Valley Master and the others changed drastically. Even if they joined forces, they wouldn't be able to escape this attack. If they were stopped by the other party and the others reacted, they wouldn't have a chance. Kill! At this moment, Lu Ming shouted. The reincarnation halberd appeared, and he didn't hesitate to release the last bit of energy within it. The reincarnation halberd turned into a towering halberd and slashed down. The opponent's golden sword radiance was directly destroyed by the halberd. The halberd didn't stop, and it was as fast as lightning. Poof! The perfected absolute saint couldn't block it at all and was directly cut in half by the halberd. The terrifying power even cut a deep ravine in the ground. Charge! Kill our way out! The Cloud Dragon Valley Master and the others were energized. They unleashed all their strength and charged forward. There were still a few perfected saints in front of them, but they were instantly forced back. They didn't want to continue fighting and directly rushed out of the crowd, flying into the distance. Damn it! Chase! Chase! The white-haired elder of the evil spirit sect roared and chased after them. In addition, there were two perfected absolute saints from the D family. Together with some other perfected saints, they also rushed out and quickly flew toward Lu Ming and the others. You guys, chase after them too. The skinny old woman looked at the Heavenly God Sect Master and the others. The Heavenly God Sect Master's expression changed. Quick! The skinny old woman shouted. The Heavenly God Sect Master and the other perfected saints who were under restrictions had no choice but to chase in the direction that Lu Ming and the others had escaped. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master used his power to envelop Lu Ming. Patriarch Ice Dragon carried Xian Yanqing and flew forward quickly. Lu Ming looked around and saw that the others each had one person. The Life and Death Sword Sect Master had a youth. Lu Ming was quite familiar with him. It was Luo Xiang. There was another perfected saint from the Life and Death Sword Sect with a youth. In addition, there were two perfected saints from the Demon Castle, two perfected saints from the Heavenly King Palace, and two perfected saints from the Linglong Palace. They each had one person. There were a total of 10 perfected saints with 10 youths. Without a doubt, these youths were the most talented in their respective sections. Only by sending them out would they have hope in the future. You can't escape. Surrender. A cold voice came from behind. Chapter 1738. The white-haired elder's speed was extremely shocking. He approached the group like a stream of light. There was a river surrounding his body, making him look like a god. The laws have formed a river. This person has completely grasped a law. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master shouted angrily. His expression was extremely ugly. The others were the same. The river around the white-haired elder was completely formed by laws. It was a river of laws. The sage realm was cultivating laws. Ordinary people could only cultivate one kind of law. He continued to comprehend and cultivate until he finally fully grasped this type of law. However, it was too difficult to completely grasp and comprehend a law. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Even if one cultivated to the peak of the absolute saint realm, they wouldn't be able to completely comprehend a law. When one completely comprehended a law, they had already surpassed the sage realm and were half a step into the martial emperor realm. This realm could be called a quasi-emperor. This white-haired elder was a quasi-emperor. A quasi-emperor was much stronger than a peak absolute saint. Everyone gritted their teeth and raised their speed to the limit, flying forward with all their might. Whoosh! Whoosh! Streams of light streaked across the sky. In the blink of an eye, they had flown tens of thousands of miles away. At this time, the white-haired elder was even closer to them. Kill! The white-haired old man bellowed. With a wave of his hand, the Law River turned into a gigantic palm that was as big as a mountain. It slammed down at the crowd with a terrifying might that seemed as though it was going to explode the entire space. Let's join forces. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master and the others shouted. They blocked Lu Ming and the others behind them. The 10 Absolute Saints joined forces and unleashed their strongest attacks. The 10 attacks merged together and blasted toward the huge palm. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion. Although the Cloud Dragon Valley Master and the other Absolute Saints blocked the huge palm, their bodies shook and they retreated one by one, spitting out blood. A single move was enough to injure 10 Absolute Saints. The power of this move was earth-shattering. I'll give you one more chance. My evil spirit sect is in need of people. Surrender and I won't kill you. The white-haired elder said coldly. What made them feel even more despair was that behind them, more figures flashed. The other Absolute Saints were about to arrive. Leave him to me. Lu Ming held the reincarnation halberd in his hand and strode forward. He held the sword with both hands and exhaled. The reincarnation halberd heavily slashed towards the white-haired elder. This time, Lu Ming unleashed all the remaining energy in the reincarnation halberd. There was not a single bit left. The terrifying energy on the reincarnation halberd caused the white-haired elder's expression to change. Slash! The erupting old man roared. The river of laws transformed into a towering sword that slashed towards Lu Ming. Clang! The halberd and the giant sword met in the air and heavily slashed together. Terrifying energy erupted and swept out in all directions, destroying everything in its path. Break! Lu Ming's long hair fluttered in the wind. He looked like an invincible god of war. The reincarnation halberd emitted a black light as it slowly pressed down on his opponent. Bang! In the end, the opponent's sword light exploded with a bang. The terrifying energy on the reincarnation halberd completely bombarded the white-haired elder. The white-haired elder screamed in pain as his body flew hundreds of miles away. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood and his aura was extremely weak. However, the white-haired elder was still alive. Lu Ming sighed. The opponent was too powerful. He was a boundary emperor. Of course, if the reincarnation halberd's energy was fully unleashed, it would probably be able to kill a boundary emperor. Unfortunately, Lu Ming had already used the last bit of energy to kill a peak absolute saint. As a result, the energy wasn't enough to kill the white-haired elder. It could only severely injure him. Back then, the reincarnation emperor had said that if the energy in the reincarnation halberd was fully unleashed, it could kill any expert below the emperor level. Even a boundary emperor was below the emperor level. Of course, that was when the energy was fully unleashed. Elder. At this moment, the experts of the D family and the sect master of the Heavenly Gods sect had also arrived. They were extremely shocked. What kind of weapon was Lu Ming holding? It was too terrifying. It could even severely injure a boundary emperor. Previously, the halberd had killed a peak absolute saint. This shocked them so much that they didn't dare to go forward. Let's go. At this moment, the Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon Valley swept out his saint power and enveloped Lu Ming. The group continued to fly forward. Don't let them escape. The white-haired elder shouted angrily. Then, he sat down and started to heal his injuries. Chase. The experts of the D family and the sect master of the Heavenly Gods sect continued to chase after Lu Ming. Not long after, another few tens of thousands of miles had passed. The Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon Valley and the others were carrying one person. The distance between the two sides was slowly closing. However, they didn't dare to attack as they were clearly afraid of Lu Ming's reincarnation halberd. "You guys, attack first." A peak absolute saint expert of the D family looked at the sect master of the heavenly gods sect and the others. "Why should we attack first?" The sect master of the heavenly gods sect's expression changed drastically. "If you don't attack, you'll die now," the D family expert said coldly. The sect master of the heavenly gods sect had an ugly expression. However, they were controlled by the evil spirit sect and could only obey their orders. Otherwise, the other party could kill them with a thought. "Yun Ruoxu, Lu Ming, you'd better surrender. The evil spirit sect has already targeted you. You can't escape," the sect master of the heavenly gods sect said. "Even if we can't escape, we have to escape," the Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon Valley said. "How stubborn. Kill." The sect master of the heavenly gods sect had a dark expression. He took out a sacred weapon and charged toward the group from afar. The Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon Valley slashed out with his sword and sent the sacred weapon flying. Then, the other absolute saints with the sect master of the heavenly gods sect also attacked. They also took out their sacred weapons and attacked Lu Ming and the others. They were afraid of Lu Ming's halberd and didn't dare to get close. "They're close. Attack with all your might," the D family expert shouted coldly. The sect master of the heavenly gods sect suddenly accelerated. A divine spear of punishment formed in his hand and stabbed toward Lu Ming and the others. Scram! The Cloud Dragon Valley Master slashed out with his sword and sent the sect master of the heavenly gods sect flying. Boom! An Emperor family expert flew into the sky and slashed down with his sword. A shocking sword light slashed toward the group. The group worked together to block the sword light. "That brat's halberd must have some restrictions. He can't use it now," the sect master of the heavenly gods sect suddenly shouted. He remembered that at the Sky Universe Demon sect, Lu Ming was also brave and invincible. He killed several absolute saints in a row, but in the end, he watched the Sky Universe Demon sect master and the others leave and didn't chase after them. If Lu Ming's halberd could be used indefinitely, why didn't he kill the Sky Universe Demon sect master and the others back then? With the power that could severely injure a sub-thearch just now, it was completely possible. Moreover, now that he was attacked by them, he didn't use it for a long time. It was obvious that there was some restriction that prevented him from using it. Lu Ming's expression changed. It seemed that he had been seen through. The D family expert's eyes lit up. He shouted, "Attack together." Chapter 1739. The Heavenly God sect master pointed out that Lu Ming's halberd might not be usable anymore. The Emperor family and evil spirit sect cultivators started to attack. All kinds of attacks poured toward Lu Ming and the others. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master and the others could only fight back with all their might. However, the other party had more people, and there were two perfected absolute saints. They were no match for them at all. They kept retreating and were at a disadvantage. The two perfected absolute saints were too strong. After more than 10 moves, the weaker ones among the 10 absolute saints were already injured. He still hasn't used that halberd. It seems like he really can't use it anymore, the Heavenly God sect master said. His eyes flickered with a cold light. Since he couldn't escape, and the people of the Heavenly God sect couldn't escape because they were controlled by the evil spirit sect, he didn't want the Cloud Dragon Valley Master and the others to escape, especially Lu Ming. At the very least, he had to capture Lu Ming and the others and make them puppets of the evil spirit sect. Kill. The two perfected absolute saints were even bolder. They held the Emperor's sword in their hands, and their sword chi was vast and mighty. They were like emperors who could flatten the world. Poof! An absolute saint from the demon castle was pierced by the sword chi. He was severely injured and almost died. Boom! Boom! The others also kept charging over, breaking apart the defensive formation of the Cloud Dragon Valley Master and the others. Die! A perfected absolute saint from the Emperor family shouted. He stared at the Demon Castle cultivator and attacked like a tidal wave. The Emperor's sword slashed out violently, destroying everything. Leave quickly! The Demon Castle cultivator roared. He tried his best to block, but it was useless. In the end, he was cut in half and died here. Kid, you're a talent. Surrender. The expert from the D clan coldly stated as he stared at the young genius from the Demon Castle. I surrender. The Demon Castle cultivator had no choice but to surrender. At this moment, another furious roar sounded. An absolute saint from the Heavenly King Palace had his dantian pierced by another perfected absolute saint from the Emperor family. His saint heart was destroyed. Sword light swept out, and that absolute saint was turned into ashes. In the blink of an eye, 2 absolute saints had died. We can't fight them head on. Charge! The Cloud Dragon Valley Master howled. The remaining 8 people charged forward with all their might. However, their opponents were too strong. They were completely blocked and could not break out of the encirclement. We can't go on like this. We have to split up and disperse the enemy's strength. Otherwise, we'll all be left behind. Ancestor Ice Dragon said. That's right. The 8 of us will form groups of 2 and break out of the encirclement. Whether or not we can break out will depend on our luck. The leader of the Life and Death Sword faction said. I'll lead the way. The Ice Dragon ancestor let out a long roar and turned into a huge ice dragon. He opened his mouth and spat out a snow-white dragon horn. This dragon horn emitted a terrifying power. A trace of reluctance appeared in the eyes of the Ice Dragon ancestor, and then he roared, Explode! The snow-white dragon horn exploded with a boom, and a terrifying cold current gushed out. The absolute saint from the Emperor family was instantly frozen by the cold current, turning into an iceman. An absolute saint at the peak of the saint realm was knocked back by the cold current, and his body was covered in a layer of ice. Charge! The Ice Dragon ancestor roared and charged out. The others followed him and broke out of the encirclement. The 8 absolute saints split into 4 groups and ran in 4 directions. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master led Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing in one group. The 2 absolute saints from the Life and Death Sword faction led Luo Xiang and 2 other geniuses in one group. The 2 experts from the Linglong Palace were in another group. The Demon Castle Master and the Sky King Palace Master were in another group. Split up and chase. An absolute saint at the peak of the Saint Realm yelled. We can't let that Lu Ming escape. He'll definitely be a huge threat once he grows up. The Celestial God Sect Master yelled. Chase. The absolute saint at the peak of the Saint Realm led his men and chased after Lu Ming and the others. The others split up and chased after the other groups. That absolute saint at the peak of the Saint Realm has his eyes on us. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's face darkened. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master and the Ice Dragon Ancestor were confident that they could escape if there wasn't an absolute saint at the peak of the Saint Realm. However, it would be difficult if there was an absolute saint at the peak of the Saint Realm. The 2 of them led Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing and flew quickly. However, the other party was obviously faster. The distance between them kept closing. Master, Ancestor, we have to split up. At this moment, Lu Ming spoke. The other party's target was obviously him. If they split up, Xian Yanqing would have a high chance of escaping. If they stayed together, none of them would be able to escape. Lu Ming, don't split up. Let's go together. Xian Yanqing said. How could she not know what Lu Ming was thinking? Lu Ming is right. We have to split up. Ancestor, you take Nianqing and I'll take Lu Ming. Let's see who can escape. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Okay. The Ice Dragon Ancestor nodded decisively. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing still didn't want him to leave. Let's go. Lu Ming yelled. The ice dragon ancestor grabbed Xian Yanqing with his huge dragon claw. With a long roar, he separated from the Cloud Dragon Valley Master and flew in another direction. You guys go after that ice dragon. Leave these two to me. The Absolute Saint at the peak ordered. The other Absolute Saints chased after the ice dragon ancestor, while the Absolute Saint at the peak continued to chase after the Cloud Dragon Valley Master and Lu Ming. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief inwardly. With the ice dragon ancestor's combat power, as long as he didn't face an Absolute Saint at the peak, he had a high chance of escaping. The Absolute Saints of the other party were indeed targeting him. This was why Lu Ming didn't use the mountain and river diagram to put the others in. If he put the others in the mountain and river diagram, the other party would be a smaller target. They only needed to target him. That way, they wouldn't be able to escape. As long as they took down Lu Ming, they would be wiped out. The best way was to split up and travel separately. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master took Lu Ming and turned into a beam of sword light. They traveled 1,000 miles in an instant, and boundless mountains flashed under their feet. You can't escape. Since you're strong, surrender obediently. Otherwise, you'll die. The Absolute Saint from the D family said coldly. His body seemed to have turned into a beam of golden sword light. He tore through the air at a shocking speed. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master couldn't widen the distance between them no matter how hard he tried. Instead, the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Whoosh! Behind them, the powerful figures of the D clan slashed out a sword gleam toward Lu Ming and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master waved his sword to block the attack. With a loud bang, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's body shook violently and his face turned pale. However, with the help of this force, he flew 100 miles ahead. Master, Lu Ming was worried. I'm fine. Ming, you go first. I'll stop him. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. What? Lu Ming was shocked. No, this person is too strong. He's a peak stage Absolute Saint. I can't let Master stay alone. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master would be in danger if he stayed behind. Lu Ming wouldn't agree. Ming, there's hope as long as you escape. Now, your senior brothers and so many people from the Dragon God Valley have fallen into the hands of the evil spirit sect. The Dragon God Valley will definitely be in danger. Now, the only hope is on you. With your talent, you'll definitely rise in the future and destroy the evil spirit sect and the D family. If you're also captured, then there's really no hope at all. Do you understand? Chapter 1740. Master, Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. Although he knew that this was the best choice, he couldn't leave the Cloud Dragon Valley Master behind to fend off the enemy while he escaped alone. Ever since he joined the Dragon God Valley and became the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's disciple, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had helped him too much. He had been suppressed by Yin Zheng in front of the Cloud Dragon Valley, and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had forced Yin Zheng to retreat in anger. After that, he had used the power of the third bloodline to transform into a killing puppet. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had arrived in time to save him and sealed him in ice for half a year to erase the endless killing intent. There were many more. It could be said that without the Cloud Dragon Valley Master, there would be no Lu Ming today. But now, Lu Ming had to make such a choice. Lu Ming couldn't do it. Ming, don't be silly. Your senior brothers and the rest of the people in the Dragon God Valley need your help. Don't worry about me. If I can't win, I'll just surrender and wait for you to come back and save me. The evil spirit sect needs strength to revive, so they won't kill me. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master continued, also, escape and go to the Ancient Moon's sacred ground to seek help from the Ancient Moon's sacred ground. Only the Ancient Moon's sacred ground can deal with the evil spirit sect. If we're all captured, we'll have no hope. Go. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master shouted one last time. "Master, take care!" Lu Ming bellowed. He cast the Wind God's steps and flew forward at high speed. Lu Ming was also a decisive person. After struggling for a while, he quickly made a decision. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master stopped and held his sword with one hand. His white robe and white hair fluttered in the wind as he looked at the Emperor family overlords. Roar! Clang! A dragon roared and sword chi shot into the sky. Lu Ming turned his head and saw two shocking sword gleams meeting in the air and colliding with each other. Lu Ming's heart trembled as he clenched his fists. Because he used too much strength, his fingernails penetrated his palms and blood flowed out. His eyes were bloodshot as he shouted in his heart, "Master, nothing must happen to you. I'll come back to save you in the future. I'll destroy the evil spirit sect and the D family with my own hands." Boom! Boom! In the distance, sword chi soared into the heavens as they clashed continuously. It was incomparably intense. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and pushed his speed to the limit. Like a beam of light, he shot off into the distance and finally rushed into the vast and endless mountains. After rushing into the mountain, Lu Ming converted the primal chaos law into the law of earth and then rushed into the ground. Lu Ming directly sank into the ground and disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming traversed underground with the laws revolving around him. His speed was still astonishing. Moreover, Lu Ming had used the illusory breathing technique to restrain his aura to the extreme, not leaking the slightest bit of aura. Just like that, Lu Ming traveled underground for 2 days and 2 nights. He didn't know how far he had traveled. At this moment, Lu Ming stopped. With a thought, he entered the mountain and river diagram. As for the mountain and river diagram, it was left deep underground. Lu Ming took out a pile of ores and began to devour and refine them. Not long after, Lu Ming's saint energy was completely restored. I wonder what happened to Master. I hope Master can't defeat him and just surrender. And Nianqing, did she and Ancestor Ice Dragon escape? Lu Ming's eyes were filled with worry. At this moment, he yearned for strength. Although his cultivation speed was already very fast, it was still very fast. It had been more than 5 years since he had arrived in Yuanlu. When he had just arrived in Yuanlu, he was only a sovereign and had yet to become an emperor. But now, he was already a saint. In a little more than 5 years, he had crossed such a great distance. It was amazing. After becoming a martial emperor, time became less and less important. Many people would go into seclusion for 10 years, decades, or even centuries. In 5 or 6 years, many people might not even be able to cross one level of cultivation. Lu Ming's cultivation speed was already very fast. It was not inferior to some of the peerless geniuses. And Lu Ming's combat strength was even more shocking. With his cultivation of a lesser bright saint, he could even kill an ordinary lesser great saint if he used all his means. This had never happened in Song State since ancient times. However, such combat strength was naturally high and unsurpassable among the younger generation in Song State. But in the face of a colossus like an emperor-level force, he still seemed so powerless. In an emperor-level force, not to mention martial emperors, he was no match for any of the quasi-emperors or absolute saints below. He had to continue to improve. If he had the cultivation of a martial emperor now, he could directly step into the D clan and destroy the D clan and evil spirit sect. Master, just you wait. I will definitely go to the ancient moon's sacred ground and get reinforcements. Even if there is no reinforcements, I will definitely save you. Lu Ming's eyes were firm. With a move, Lu Ming appeared in a valley. In the valley, there was a milky white cocoon of light. Within the cocoon of light was Bubbles. Lu Ming took a look and left this place. He sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree. I can't go out yet. The evil spirit sect and D clan are probably looking for me all over the world. I'll go out after a while. Lu Ming pondered. Then, Lu Ming closed his eyes and began to comprehend the chaotic tribulation finger. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. In the distance, a pillar of light shot into the sky, interrupting Lu Ming's cultivation. Bubbles. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He took a step forward and appeared in that valley. At this moment, the cocoon of light that Bubbles had transformed into was incomparably resplendent. After a while, the light receded. Lu Ming saw a figure in the light. Yes, it was a figure, a human figure. Could it be that Bubbles has transformed? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. When the light completely disappeared, a little girl appeared in front of Lu Ming. It was a little girl who looked to be only 2 or 3 years old. Her hair was loose and she wasn't wearing any clothes, revealing skin that was whiter and smoother than jade. She looked chubby and exceptionally cute. This is Bubbles? She's really a girl. Lu Ming was tongue-tied. Lu. Big brother Lu Ming, chirp, the cute little girl blinked her big eyes. When she saw Lu Ming, she called out in a childish voice and pounced on Lu Ming. She directly jumped into Lu Ming's arms. Her chubby body rolled around in Lu Ming's arms. Bubbles, you've transformed? Lu Ming asked. Ordinary demon beasts could transform in their spirit sea. But divine beasts could only transform in the Monarch realm. The higher the level, the harder it was to transform. Bubbles was one of the top 10 battle beasts, but she could only transform in the Sage realm. Yes, yes, chirp. Bubbles opened her mouth and spoke in a childish voice. She couldn't speak fluently and there was a chirp at the end. She was as cute as she could be. Bubbles, put on your clothes. Lu Ming smiled and his mood was finally a little better. Yes, big brother Lu Ming, chirp. Bubbles' body was surrounded by light. She used her saint power to weave a small dress, which made her even cuter. Bubbles, let's go out and have a look. Lu Ming said. Then, he let Bubbles sit on his shoulder. Lu Ming came out of the mountain river diagram, restrained his aura, and went to the ground. Chapter 1741. After arriving at the surface, he realized that this was a vast mountain range. The roars of demonic beasts could be heard from time to time. I wonder how Master is doing. And Xiang and the others. Lu Ming looked worried. Bubble, you go into the mountain and river diagram first. I want to make a trip back to the Dragon God Valley. Lu Ming said to Bubble. Bubble nodded and returned to the mountain and river diagram with a flicker. Lu Ming's body began to change. In the end, he turned into a dark-skinned young man. His aura also changed drastically. Then, Lu Ming headed in the direction of the Tsang continent. Lu Ming felt uneasy about leaving just like that. He had to find out the whereabouts of the Cloud Dragon Valley Master, Xian Yanqing, Xiang, Tian Shui, and the others. Otherwise, if he left just like that, he would leave behind a mental demon that would greatly affect his future cultivation. With Lu Ming's cultivation, as long as he didn't encounter a supreme sage expert, no one should be able to see through his disguise. He just had to avoid them. Lu Ming rose into the air and flew at top speed. Along the way, he didn't encounter anyone from the evil spirit sect or the D family. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived at the place where the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had stopped. This place was a mess. The ground was filled with unfathomable sword marks that crisscrossed and stretched for thousands of miles. It could be seen how intense the battle had been. Lu Ming even saw blood in one place. Master, how is it? Lu Ming's worry grew stronger. Then, he left. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived near the Nine Heaven Sword Sect. The Nine Heaven Sword Sect was very peaceful. There were people going in and out, and it looked very peaceful. However, Lu Ming saw a few figures in golden robes. They were clearly disciples of the D family. It seemed that the Nine Heaven Sword Sect had already been controlled by the evil spirit sect. Lu Ming left and headed south. Along the way, he passed by several powerful sects and secretly observed them. He discovered that these sects were already under the control of the evil spirit sect. Clearly, many people had been set up with restrictions to obey the evil spirit sect's orders. It was obvious that the evil spirit sect had full control over all the major forces in Tsang State. Several days later, Lu Ming arrived in the vicinity of Dragon God Valley. Lu Ming did not enter the Dragon God Valley. Instead, he waited outside. Not long after, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed as he saw a familiar face. It was the sect master of the Sky Universe Devil sect. Looks like the evil spirit sect has also taken down the Dragon God Valley. How are Xiang Xiang and the others? Lu Ming was extremely worried. He restrained his aura and watched from afar. The leader of the Sky Universe Demon sect looked gloomy. He flew toward the north and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming continued to wait. The next day, he saw a group of people flying out of the Dragon God Valley. Senior brother Zifeng. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He saw Zifeng. The group flew off into the distance. Lu Ming followed them from a distance. Senior brother Zifeng. After they were some distance away from the Dragon God Valley, Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Zifeng. After hearing Lu Ming's voice, Zifeng's body trembled, but he quickly regained his composure. I suddenly remembered that I still have something to do and need to return to the Dragon God Valley. You guys go ahead first. Zifeng and the others said. The others nodded and continued flying, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Zifeng looked around. Senior brother Zifeng, I'm in a valley on your left. Lu Ming's voice sounded in Zifeng's ear. Zifeng's figure moved and flew to the left. He flew into a valley and saw Lu Ming. Junior brother Lu Ming, I heard that you escaped. Right now, there are many people from the evil spirit sect and the Sky Universe Devil sect looking for you. Why did you come back? It's very dangerous. Zifeng said worriedly. Senior brother Zifeng, has the evil spirit sect already occupied the Dragon God Valley? Lu Ming asked. That's right. Zifeng sighed and said, more than 10 days ago, a large number of evil spirit sect experts descended on the Dragon God Valley. Most of the disciples of the Dragon God Valley were captured. The other party set up a restriction on our spirit god. As expected. Lu Ming's heart tightened as he asked, Senior brother Zifeng, do you know what happened to Tian Shui and my disciple Xiang Xiang? Junior brother, you don't have to worry about this. Back then, the Valley Master saw the opportunity early and rushed out of the Dragon God Valley with Xiang Xiang, Tian Shui, and Xuaningxin. I don't know where they are now. But I heard that the evil spirit sect has been looking for them. They should be fine. It's a pity that when the others escaped, most of them were captured. Zifeng laughed bitterly. Escaped? Lu Ming relaxed. The Ice Dragon Valley Master also knew about Xiang Xiang's talent. Presumably, when he realized that something was wrong, he immediately fled with Xiang Xiang, Tian Shui, and Xuaningxin. A sect master like the Ice Dragon Valley Master naturally knew how to make decisions. At the critical moment, he would naturally take away the person with the strongest talent. Only then would there be hope. Senior brother Zifeng, do you know how my master, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master, is doing? Lu Ming asked again. Yes. Zifeng nodded, and said, I've secretly inquired about the news. Back then, when you all went to encircle and annihilate the evil spirit sect, you were ambushed by the D clan. Most of you were captured and controlled by the evil spirit sect, and a few were killed. I heard that your master was seriously injured and was set up by the evil spirit sect in the end. Master is fine. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was good that his master was fine. He was just being controlled by the other party. Lu Ming would save him sooner or later. Senior brother, what else did you hear? For example, how many people escaped? Lu Ming asked. I'm not very sure either. It seems that many people have been captured, such as the sect master of the Heavenly King Hall, the Demon Castle Master, and so on. However, our Patriarch Ice Dragon seems to have escaped as well. The sect master of the Life and Death Sword sect has also escaped. Zifeng pondered for a moment and said, "Did Patriarch Ice Dragon escape as well?" Lu Ming's heart relaxed again. Patriarch Ice Dragon's escape meant that Xian Yanqing had also escaped. Fortunately, things did not develop in the worst direction. Xiang Xiang and the others were taken away by the Ice Dragon Valley Master, and Xian Yanqing was taken away by Patriarch Ice Dragon. His master, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master, was only injured and had fallen into the hands of the other party. In this way, Lu Ming was more or less relieved. "Senior brother Zifeng, come with me," Lu Ming said. "Junior brother, you should leave." "I can't leave. The other party has set up a restriction on my spirit deity. Every once in a while, I have to report. If I don't report after a certain period of time, the other party will activate the restriction and destroy my soul." Zifeng shook his head and smiled bitterly. "Damn it." Lu Ming gritted his teeth. This is the evil spirit sect's method of controlling people. "Junior brother, you should leave quickly. Leave the Tsang state. With your talent, you will have a chance to become an emperor in the future. I will place my hopes on you. I will wait here for you to come back and save me." Zifeng smiled faintly. "Senior brother Zifeng, take care." Lu Ming cupped his fists. Don't worry. Before junior brother returns, I will definitely live well. When junior brother returns, I will drink with junior brother again. Junior brother, leave quickly. If you delay, something will happen." Zifeng said. "Senior brother, don't worry. In the future, Lu Ming will definitely come back to save you and flatten the evil spirit sect." Chapter 1742. After parting with Zifeng, Lu Ming changed his appearance and headed west. Now, he planned to pass through Cloud Prefecture and enter the Cloud Sea mountain range from the west to the ancient moon's sacred ground. A few days later, Lu Ming arrived at the western part of Tsang Prefecture and entered Cloud Prefecture. After some time, Lu Ming arrived near Cloud Emperor Mountain. Cloud Emperor Mountain has collapsed. Lu Ming muttered with a complicated look in his eyes. In the distance, the majestic Cloud Emperor Mountain had collapsed. It was as if it had been hit by a boundless power. There was a war between emperors here. Cloud Emperor was killed and Cloud Emperor Mountain collapsed. Lu Ming sighed. An emperor-level force had been destroyed just like that. Even a martial emperor had been killed. The Yuanlu was too big and there were countless forces. Such things could happen everywhere. Even if one cultivated to the martial emperor realm, it was not guaranteed that one would be safe. There would always be someone stronger. Unless one had the strength to dominate the world, one could fall at any time. Lu Ming did not stay for long. He took a few glances and left, heading west. Soon, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. There was a group of people flying in front of him. There were about a dozen of them and they were all wearing golden robes. They had a noble aura, as if they were emperors. Lu Ming was familiar with one of the young men. Di Xian. Back then, Di Xian had led his men into the divine wilderness to help Di kill Lu Ming. In the end, Lu Ming had killed most of his men and forced them to retreat. He did not expect to meet Di Xian here. After so many years, Di Xian's cultivation had already broken through to the martial emperor realm. He was now a rank 5 martial emperor. He was not eye-catching among the dozen people. Among them, there were 2 saints and the rest were high-level martial emperors. Since I've met him, I'll get rid of him. Otherwise, who knows when he will go to the divine wilderness to seek revenge. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Lu Ming stepped forward and walked toward the dozen emperor family members. "Who are you?" A Saint Realm expert looked at Lu Ming with sharp eyes. "The people who will kill you." A battle sword appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and he slashed out. A terrifying sword light flashed, and the saint was killed without being able to retaliate at all. Not good, call for help. Someone exclaimed. Kill. Lu Ming's battle sword swept across the sky. With these people's combat strength, they simply couldn't stop Lu Ming. The difference was too great. With a single slash, almost all of them were wiped out. Only one person remained alive, and that was Di Xian. At this moment, Di Xian was completely stunned. He stood in the air, trembling uncontrollably and sweating profusely. He looked at Lu Ming in horror and said, "Brother, let's talk nicely. Spare my life. You're from Cloud Emperor Mountain, right? Please leave. I won't tell anyone." "I'm not from Cloud Emperor Mountain," Lu Ming said. "Not from the Cloud Emperor Mountain?" Di Xian was taken aback. He had thought that it was someone from the Cloud Emperor Mountain who had escaped and came back to take revenge. It turned out that it was not someone from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. "Don't you remember me so soon?" Lu Ming sneered, and his appearance returned to normal. It's you?" Di Xian's eyes narrowed as he recognized Lu Ming. He had not expected that before he went to the Divine Wilderness continent to look for Lu Ming had already come here. Moreover, his combat strength was terrifying. Even a saint was no match for him. His original plan was to go to the Divine Wilderness continent to seek revenge on Lu Ming after he had broken through to the Martial Emperor realm. However, many things had happened in the Di family, and he had to do many things. At this time, he did not go to the Divine Wilderness continent. He stayed in the Di family to build up his career. When the situation stabilized, he would go to the Divine Wilderness continent to kill Lu Ming. He had never expected to meet Lu Ming here. He turned around and ran. However, Lu Ming slashed out with his sword. Di Xian was dead. After killing Di Xian, Lu Ming felt more relaxed. Now, he could go to the ancient moon's sacred ground with peace of mind. After changing his appearance again, Lu Ming quickly left the place and headed west. Not long after Lu Ming left, the murder of Di Xian and the others was discovered. The Di family sent out a large number of experts to search for the murderer. Unfortunately, they did not find the murderer. Lu Ming headed west. He passed through the Clouds continent and entered a vast mountain range. This was the Cloud Sea Mountain Range. The Cloud Sea Mountain Range was filled with towering ancient trees and dangerous peaks. Countless fierce beasts lived in it, and there were even many absolute saint fierce beasts. Lu Ming was careful. He slowed down and walked in the Cloud Sea Mountain Range. He cultivated as he hurried. After walking for 2 months, Lu Ming finally passed through the endless Cloud Sea Mountain Range and entered a place where humans gathered, Feng Continent. Feng Continent was also guarded by an Emperor Realm expert called Emperor Feng. After arriving at Feng Continent, Lu Ming finally did not have to be so careful. He took out the sky-piercing flying shuttle that could travel 5 times faster. He entered the sky-piercing flying shuttle and soared into the sky. Lu Ming's goal was to go to the ancient moon's sacred ground and see if he could ask the ancient moon's sacred ground's powerful forces to destroy the evil spirit sect. Ordinary Emperor Realm forces were useless. For example, Cloud Emperor Mountain had already been destroyed. After Lu Ming entered the sky-piercing flying shuttle, he continued to cultivate. During the 2 months in the Cloud Sea Mountain Range, Lu Ming's main goal was to cultivate the chaotic tribulation finger. After such a long time of cultivation, Lu Ming finally succeeded in comprehending the chaotic tribulation finger. Of course, it was only 10%, but its power was still terrifying. The chaotic tribulation finger was a divine power that used the law of chaos as its foundation. Even 10% of it was far more powerful than ordinary law of chaos divine power. The chaotic tribulation finger had become Lu Ming's strongest killing move. Lu Ming's cultivation was also steadily increasing. He was slowly approaching the great success of the Bright Sage realm. In the sky-piercing flying shuttle, Lu Ming cultivated in peace. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. Lu Ming had already crossed 6 large states and passed by 6 Emperor realm forces. However, he was still very far away from the ancient moon's sacred ground. There are actually so many Emperor realm forces in this land. Then, with the ancient moon's sacred ground as the center, how many Emperor realm forces are there? These Emperor realm forces have at least one Emperor realm expert overseeing them. How many Emperor realm experts are there? Also, there are 9 sacred grounds in the Yuan Mountain. How many Emperor realm forces are there? Not to mention, there are as many as 10 lands in the Yuan continent. How many experts and Emperor realm experts are there? I'm afraid it's impossible to count. Then why did I hear that the evil spirit sect had harmed the Yuan continent and was destroyed by countless large forces in the Yuan continent? Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He was curious. He had heard that the evil spirit sect had a sect leader, 2 vice sect leaders, and 36 Dharma kings. They were all Emperor realm experts. Such a force was indeed terrifying and incomparably terrifying. However, in the vast Yuan continent, it shouldn't be much, right? In the vast Yuan continent, there were so many Emperor realm forces. If so many Emperor realm experts joined forces, they could easily destroy the evil spirit sect, right? Perhaps it's because the Tsang state is remote and most people don't know enough. They think that the evil spirit sect is the most terrifying force in the Yuan continent. Chapter 1743. After all, Tsang state was just a small place in the vast Yuan continent. It was located in the distant Sea Mountain range with Cloud State and Emperor State. Most people in Tsang State did not know how big this world was or how many powerful factions there were outside of Tsang State. In their eyes, the Tsang the Arch was the most powerful existence in the world. The evil spirit sect had dozens of emperor-level cultivators, so they naturally thought that the evil spirit sect was the most terrifying faction in Yuan continent. That was normal. Before Lu Ming went to the 100-race battlefield, he did not expect that there were so many emperor-level factions in Yuan continent. I can't go on like this. I don't know how long I have to fly. I have to find a teleportation array, or it will be too slow. Lu Ming pondered. However, only emperor-level factions could build teleportation arrays in Yuan continent. Let's go down and find out which emperor-level faction this is. Lu Ming had a plan. He put away the flying shuttle, stepped on the air, and landed in a big city. This is the Blood Jade State, which is ruled by the Blood Jade Palace. Isn't Su Ran a disciple of the Blood Jade Palace? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Lu Ming and Su Ran had gotten to know each other after fighting in the 100-race battlefield. In the end, they had a feeling of mutual appreciation and had a good relationship. Later on, Su Ran was captured by the natives of the 100-race battlefield, and it was Lu Ming who saved him. Before they parted, Su Ran had also invited Lu Ming to come to the Blood Jade Palace to find him when he was free. Since this was the Blood Jade Palace's territory, he could find Su Ran and borrow the Blood Jade Palace's teleportation array to go to the ancient moon's sacred ground. Lu Ming immediately asked about the direction of the Blood Jade Palace. Lu Ming flew there. Half a day later, Lu Ming arrived outside the Blood Jade Palace and sent a message to Su Ran. Not long after, he saw Su Ran flying out of the Blood Jade Palace. Huh, Lu Ming, I didn't expect you to really come looking for me. Su Ran laughed and was rather surprised. Su Ran, you've broken through to the saint stage. Congratulations. Lu Ming sized up Su Ran and smiled faintly. What's there to congratulate? I'm afraid you've already become a saint, haven't you? Su Ran sized up Lu Ming and discovered that he could not see through Lu Ming's cultivation at all. I broke through to the saint realm not long ago. Lu Ming smiled. I knew it. You must have broken through to the saint realm. Oh right, aren't you in the Tsang continent? Why did he suddenly come to the Blood Jade Palace? It can't be that he came here just to see me, right? Su Ran smiled. It's a long story. Lu Ming sighed and said, the evil spirit sect has risen from the ashes. The remnants of the evil spirit sect have already occupied Song State, Emperor State, and Cloud State. I was forced to run away. What? Evil spirit? Su Ran's expression changed. Su Ran, how much do you know about evil spirit sect? Lu Ming asked. Su Ran was from an emperor-level faction, so he might know more about evil spirit sect than him. I'm not very sure either. I only know that evil spirit sect appeared out of nowhere 80,000 years ago. They have a sect master, 2 vice sect masters, and 36 law emperors. They are all emperor-level figures and are extremely powerful. Moreover, they specialize in killing emperor-level experts and prodigies with the potential to become emperors. In the ancient Moon Holy Land, many factions paled at the mention of it. Most importantly, evil spirit sect is good at controlling people, so they are stronger than they appear on the surface. Back then, many powerful factions of the ancient Moon Holy Land joined forces to eliminate evil spirit sect. I didn't expect evil spirit sect to rise from the ashes and do evil again. Su Ran frowned. I'm here to go to the ancient Moon Holy Land and ask the powerful factions of the ancient Moon Holy Land to eliminate the remnants of evil spirit sect. Lu Ming said. Oh, it just so happens that I'm going to the ancient Moon Holy Land soon. We can go together. However, Lu Ming, don't have too much hope about asking for help from the ancient Moon Holy Land. Su Ran said. Why? Since evil spirit sect was so dangerous, how could the powerful factions of the ancient Moon Holy Land ignore it? The ancient Moon Holy Land is divided. Although there are many powerful factions, the competition between them is extremely fierce. They probably have no time to care about other things and may not send many emperor-level figures to help you. Back then, it was also because evil spirit sect angered the powerful factions of the ancient Moon Holy Land that they were besieged by them. Su Ran said. So that's how it is. Lu Ming frowned. He also understood that all factions prioritized their own interests. As long as their own interests were not harmed, they would not interfere. But no matter how difficult it was, he still had to try. If he could ask the powerful factions of the ancient Moon Holy Land to help, he would be able to rescue Valley Master Cloud Dragon and the others sooner. Lu Ming, you don't have to be discouraged. I will report this matter to the higher-ups. I can't decide what they will do. Su Ran said. Many thanks. Lu Ming cupped his fists. It's just a small matter. Lu Ming, let's go. Stay in Blood Jade Palace for a few days. After 2 days, I will go with you to the ancient Moon Holy Land. Su Ran said. Lu Ming nodded and entered Blood Jade Palace with Su Ran. Su Ran's status in Blood Jade Palace was very high. After arranging a courtyard for Lu Ming, he went to report the matter of evil spirit sect. 2 days later, Su Ran came to find Lu Ming and said that he had already reported the matter of evil spirit sect. Blood Jade Palace's Martial Emperor already knew, but he did not know what the Martial Emperor would do. Lu Ming nodded. Indeed, only a Martial Emperor could interfere in this matter. As for how the Martial Emperor would decide, they could not interfere. Lu Ming, let's go to the ancient Moon Holy Land. Recently, I heard that the Jade Lake Saintess of the ancient Moon Holy Land has appeared and intends to choose a Dao protector. The prodigies of the various factions around the ancient Moon Holy Land have already moved. During this period, the ancient Moon Holy Land will probably be very lively. Su Ran said with an expectant look. Jade Lake Saintess? Lu Ming was puzzled. He knew nothing about the ancient Moon Holy Land. Yes, the Jade Lake is a very special force. They are all women, and each of them is an outstanding beauty. Especially the saintesses, they are as beautiful as fairies. Every 20 years, the Jade Lake will produce a batch of saintesses. This time, there are a total of 9 saintesses. It is said that each of them is as beautiful as a fairy, like a goddess who has descended to the mortal world. Moreover, they are extremely talented and have profound cultivation. If they can become a Dao protector, wouldn't it be a wonderful thing? Su Ran's eyes were already shining as he spoke. Lu Ming smiled slightly. How could he be in the mood to look at beauties now? Immediately, Lu Ming and Su Ran walked toward Blood Jade Palace's teleportation array. Stepping into the teleportation array, they left Blood Jade Palace. Not long after, they appeared in an ancient city. This was not the ancient Moon Holy Land, but an ancient city outside the ancient Moon Holy Land. The various Emperor-level factions could not teleport directly into the ancient Moon Holy Land. They could only teleport to the ancient city outside the ancient Moon Holy Land and then set off from the ancient city to the ancient Moon Holy Land. Lu Ming and Su Ran did not stay in the ancient city and flew directly to the ancient Moon Holy Land. Chapter 1744. At the peak of the tallest mountain stood an enormous stone tablet that was 30,000 meters tall. There were mysterious runes circulating on the stone tablet, and it emitted a screen of light that divided the heavens and the earth into two halves, isolating them from the outside world. That's the boundary stele. The ancient Moon Holy Ground is a cultivation holy ground with rich origin chi. Legend has it that a long time ago, the powerful forces of the ancient Moon Holy Ground worked together to create 108 boundary steles and placed them around the ancient Moon Holy Ground to isolate it from the outside world. This is to prevent the origin chi from leaking out and affecting the ancient Moon Holy Ground. Su Ran seemed to know the ancient Moon Holy Ground very well. Seeing Lu Ming's confusion, he explained. The boundary stele can only isolate the origin chi of heaven and earth. It won't hinder living beings from entering and exiting. Let's go in. Su Ran continued. The two of them stepped into the air. When they passed through the light curtain, there was no obstruction at all. The light curtain rippled like water as the two of them passed through. Such rich origin chi. Once they passed through the light curtain, Lu Ming felt that the origin chi inside the light curtain was several times richer than outside. Moreover, the comprehension of the laws of heaven and earth seemed to be clearer here. As expected of a cultivation holy ground. The cultivation environment is so much better than outside. Separated by a light curtain, it's a completely different world. Lu Ming exclaimed in surprise. The ancient Moon Holy Ground's territory is vast, larger than many large provinces. However, the forces that can establish their own sects and take root in the ancient Moon Holy Ground are extremely powerful forces. Without strength, it's impossible to gain a foothold in such a holy ground. For example, the Emperor-level forces outside the Holy Ground are not qualified to establish their own sects in the ancient Moon Holy Ground. Because of their lack of strength, they will be expelled by the powerful forces of the ancient Moon Holy Ground. Su Ran said. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. If even Emperor-level forces couldn't establish their own sects in the ancient Moon Holy Ground, then how strong was the ancient Moon Holy Ground? Su Ran had been to the ancient Moon Holy Ground before and was familiar with the place. He led the way as the two chatted. Not long after, a vast expanse of buildings appeared in front of them. Although he was far away, Lu Ming could still see that there were people coming and going among the buildings. It was very lively. This is one of the buildings in the ancient Moon Holy Ground. There are many powerful forces in the ancient Moon Holy Ground. There are many disciples and cultivators from outside the ancient Moon Holy Ground. These people will gather here to buy treasures and other things. It's very lively. Su Ran said. Lu Ming nodded. This building complex was like a city. It was just that there were no city walls. The two of them flew forward and landed. They discovered that the streets here were crisscrossed with shops like a forest. The two of them strolled along the streets. So many experts. Lu Ming swept his gaze and was secretly shocked. He found Saint Chi Chi Lin Ming Chi said people. Each and every one of them had a strong aura, and their blood was like fire. Saint might filled the air, and many of them were actually saints. Even if the others were not sages, they were at least half sages. The weakest among them was a high-ranked martial monarch. Saints were considered experts in Song state, but here, they could be seen everywhere. 1. Lu Ming sighed. There were many powerful sects in the ancient Moon Holy Land, and there were probably countless saints in these sections. After all, there were 13 top sects in the Tsang state, as well as many small and medium-sized forces. Adding them all together, there were quite a number of saint stage experts. However, even if the entire Tsang state was added together, it still wouldn't be able to match up to an emperor-level force. However, any force in the ancient Moon Holy Land was much stronger than an emperor-level force. One could only imagine how many saints there were. In addition, outside of the ancient Moon Holy Ground, many emperor-level forces had sent masters to the ancient Moon Holy Ground. It was not surprising that there were many masters here. Lu Ming found that even the waiter standing in front of the shop was a half-saint, which made Lu Ming speechless. So many sacred weapons. After browsing through a few shops, Lu Ming discovered that the items being sold outside were all sage weapons. There were even great sage weapons and paramount sage weapons. There were also all kinds of precious treasures, which dazzled Lu Ming. Lu Ming asked around in a shop if there were any paramount sage true dragon bones or paramount sage true dragon blood essence. He didn't expect that there would be such things, but the price was ridiculously high. Lu Ming had once killed 2 paramount sage experts in the Sky Universe Demon sect with the reincarnation halberd and obtained their storage rings. He was quite rich, but he found that he couldn't afford paramount sage true dragon bones and paramount sage true dragon blood essence. It was too expensive. True dragons, even among the thousands of divine beasts, stood at the top of the pyramid. Moreover, they were very rare, especially those at the paramount sage level. Naturally, their prices were shockingly high. Lu Ming was speechless. He thought that he was quite rich, but when he came to the ancient Moon Holy Land, he found that he had become a pauper. In the end, Lu Ming bought some spiritual liquid to water the Enlightenment ancient tree. Then, he and Su Ran found an inn to stay in. They would settle down here first, and then find an opportunity to meet the powerful forces of the ancient Moon Holy Land. Lu Ming thought of Huang Ling and Yi Dongfang. They were in the ancient Moon Holy Land, but the ancient Moon Holy Land was very big. He had just arrived and didn't know where their sects were. It was too far away, and it was difficult to send a message. Lu Ming, in 7 days, the Jade Lake Saintess will appear and look for a protector. At that time, there will be many geniuses. Maybe you can meet Yi Dongfang and the others. This was Su Ran's suggestion. Lu Ming nodded. Indeed, even if he didn't meet Huang Ling and the others, as long as he met someone he knew from the 100-tribe battlefield, things would be much easier. After entering the room of the inn, Lu Ming entered the mountain river diagram. With a flash of light, Bubble rushed into Lu Ming's arms. Big brother Lu Ming, Bubble is so bored here. Chirp chirp. Bubbles pouted her little mouth and said, Bubble, be good. I'll take you out in a few days. Lu Ming patted Bubbles' little head. Okay. Chirp chirp. Bubbles jumped up happily and skipped to the side to cultivate. Lu Ming came to the Enlightenment ancient tree and sat down cross-legged. Then, a saint weapon appeared in his hand. It was a great saint weapon. He planned to cultivate the 10,000 weapon art. During this period, Lu Ming had been focused on comprehending the chaotic finger of calamity. He had neglected the 10,000 weapon art. In the Tsang state, he had obtained the storage rings of several absolute saints. There were many great saint weapons in them, and they could be sealed in the acupuncture points of his body. Lu Ming didn't plan to seal ordinary great saint weapons into his body for the time being. After all, the improvement was limited. If he wanted to seal something, he would seal a great saint weapon. Lu Ming's body glowed as he began to seal the great saint weapons. Great saint weapons were powerful, but the burden on the body was also very heavy. Chapter 1745. Buzz. A meridian on Lu Ming's body shone brightly like a small sun. Then, the great sage weapon flew into the meridian. Immediately, over 100 spots of light lit up on Lu Ming's body. One could vaguely see a great sage weapon floating in each spot of light. The battle weapon chi of over 100 great sage weapons connected, forming a powerful pressure. Lu Ming felt his meridian swell. If his physical body wasn't strong enough, it would have exploded. Fortunately, Lu Ming's physical body was strong enough to withstand it. Slowly, the great sage weapon was sealed in his meridian, connecting with the other great sage weapons. 2 great sage weapons, but it's still not enough. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He had already sealed 1 great sage weapon before. Adding this one, he had 2 in total. However, Lu Ming felt that he hadn't reached his limit yet. He could still continue sealing. Next, Lu Ming took out another great sage weapon and began sealing. Time passed in the blink of an eye. 7 days passed. Lu Ming sealed a total of 4 great sage weapons before he felt that his physical body had reached its limit. After that, he wholeheartedly cultivated the primal chaos tribulation finger. Cultivating a divine ability could improve one's comprehension of the laws. As the divine ability improved, so would one's comprehension of the laws. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't slack off. After a month on the flying shuttle and a few days of cultivation, his mastery of the primal chaos tribulation finger had deepened. It had already reached 15% mastery. Don't look down on 5% mastery. If a complete law was divided into 100 portions, it would be equivalent to increasing it by 5 portions. Its power would also increase by a large margin. With every bit of mastery, the power of a divine ability would increase. At this time, the Jade Lake pageant began. Lu Ming and his companion headed in the direction of the Jade Lake. It wasn't just them. Many people in the building complex were heading in that direction. Many of them were young geniuses. It was clear how attractive the Jade Lake Saintess was. Soon, they arrived at a large lake. The lake water was clear, like a mirror embedded in the ground. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, they discovered that there were already many people walking on the surface of the lake. They are all top-notch geniuses. Lu Ming scanned the crowd and found that all the geniuses had extremely strong auras. Their chi and blood were like fire, and their spirit bodies were extremely powerful. Many of them were actually heavenly spiritual bodies, and their cultivation had basically reached the saint realm. So many geniuses. Is the Jade Lake Saintess so charming that she can attract so many geniuses? Lu Ming was very surprised. Among cultivators and martial arts cultivators, there were some who liked beauty. However, most people still focused on martial arts and were obsessed with cultivation. After all, the higher one's cultivation, the longer one's lifespan would be. When one reached the imperial level, one would have an almost endless lifespan. This was what many people pursued. But now, the birth of the Jade Lake Saintess had attracted so many geniuses. This was a little strange. Almost all of them are geniuses from emperor-level forces outside of the ancient moon's sacred ground. These people came here for more than just beauty. Needless to say, the beauty of the Jade Lake Saintess has attracted countless geniuses. But more importantly, they are here for the resources of the Jade Lake. Each of the Jade Lake Saintesses is devastatingly beautiful. Therefore, since ancient times, they have attracted many powerful geniuses to become the protectors of the Jade Lake Saintess. Many of these geniuses have achieved great things in the future. Many of them have even become emperors. These people have left behind many cultivation experiences and ancient scriptures in the Jade Lake. There are thousands of laws in the world, but the Jade Lake is said to contain the cultivation experiences and divine powers of 50% of the world's laws. Many of these geniuses have come for these cultivation experiences and ancient scriptures. Su Ran explained. Lu Ming was enlightened. Cultivation experiences and divine powers that contain 50% of the world's laws? Lu Ming was secretly shocked. If this was true, it would be too terrifying. In that case, did the Jade Lake have the cultivation experiences and divine powers of the 10 supreme laws? There are so many people here today. A cold voice resounded. A young man in a golden robe with a luxurious aura stepped through the air and stood above the crowd. The genius of the ancient moon's sacred grounds, Wan clan, Wan Tianlong. Someone exclaimed as they recognized the young man. Wan clan. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Previously, in the 100 Clan battlefield, he had killed a genius from the Wan clan, Wan Tiancheng. He had also obtained the Wan clan's secret skill, the 10,000 weapon art. Wan Tianlong's eyes were cold and arrogant. With his hands behind his back, he looked at the other geniuses with disdain. Isn't he just from a sacred ground force? What's there to be arrogant about? Near Lu Ming, a red-haired young man muttered unhappily. He looked at Wan Tianlong with battle intent in his eyes. Many of the geniuses who had come here were from emperor-level forces. Most of them were the strongest geniuses in their respective emperor-level forces. After all, a heavenly spiritual body was extremely rare even in emperor-level forces. For example, Cloud Emperor Mountain did not have a heavenly spiritual body. These geniuses were usually high and mighty. Naturally, they were arrogant. Now that Wan Tianlong was standing on top of their heads and looking down at them coldly, naturally, many of them were not happy about it. Shush! At this moment, a resplendent sword light shot over rapidly. The sword light receded, revealing a young man in a gray robe. He carried a battle sword on his back. His entire body radiated a sharp aura, as if he was a divine sword. It's the genius of the Great Baron Sword Sect, one of the most powerful forces in the ancient moon's sacred ground. Someone recognized the young man's identity. Geniuses from the powerful forces in the ancient moon's sacred ground began to arrive. Then, a bolt of lightning flashed and a young man in a lightning robe appeared. Someone recognized him as the genius of the Thunder God sect. Yi Dongfang is from the Thunder God sect. It's a pity that Yi Dongfang is not here. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Caw! Caw! At that moment, two long cries were heard. Two rays of golden light shot over at an alarming speed. In the next moment, the golden light disappeared and two huge three-legged golden crows appeared in the sky. The geniuses of the Golden Crow clan. Many people's faces changed and became solemn. The Golden Crow clan was undoubtedly a terrifying force. Even among the many powerful forces in the ancient moon's sacred ground, it was one of the most powerful and terrifying. Within the Golden Crow clan, there were many geniuses. In every generation, there would be many geniuses. The two three-legged golden crows looked around and then turned into two young men in golden robes. The 10th Golden Crow Prince. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. One of them was the 10th Golden Crow Prince. Judging from his aura, he had broken through to the Saint Realm and was more than the initial Bright Saint Realm. The other person's aura was even more terrifying than the 10th Golden Crow Prince. Based on the discussions around him, that person was the 9th Golden Crow Prince. Lu Ming. The 10th Golden Crow Prince looked around and finally fixed his gaze on Lu Ming. A cold killing intent flashed in his eyes. Chapter 1746. 10th Brother, what's wrong? The Golden Crow 9th Prince also looked at Lu Ming. Nothing, I just met an ant. I'll find a chance to deal with it myself. The Golden Crow 10th Prince said. The Golden Crow 9th Prince nodded and did not say anything else. Su Ran, it's you. I didn't expect a trash like you to come to Jade Pool. Suddenly, a disdainful voice sounded behind Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and Su Ran turned back and saw a purple-robed youth with his hands behind his back. He was looking at Su Ran with contempt. Tuoba Fei, you're here too. Su Ran's face darkened. Of course I'm here. I'm destined to be the Tao protector of Jade Pool. But you, a trash who isn't even a heaven spirit body, came to Jade Pool. Do you want to be a Tao protector too? You're really a toad lusting after a swan's meat. Why don't you look at yourself in your piss? Tuoba Fei sneered and his disdain deepened. Su Ran's face flushed red and was extremely ugly. He wanted to refute, but his talent was indeed far inferior to the other party and he could not do so. Su Ran, what's going on? Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Su Ran. This person is a paragon of an emperor-level force and is close to Blood Jade Palace. The two forces often have conflicts. Su Ran gave a simple explanation. Lu Ming understood immediately. It was obvious that Blood Jade Palace and Tuoba Fei's force had a grudge against each other. Now that they met, Tuoba Fei would naturally take the initiative to attack Su Ran. What's wrong? Why aren't you talking? Am I wrong? A trash who isn't even a heaven spirit body should stay in Blood Jade Palace obediently. You'll only embarrass yourself in the ancient moon's sacred ground. Tuoba Fei continued to sneer. Su Ran clenched his fists and the veins on his face throbbed. He wanted to fight the other party and wash away his shame, but he knew very well that he was no match for the other party. Where did this mad dog come from? It's annoying to hear him barking here. At this moment, Lu Ming spoke indifferently. Su Ran was slightly stunned. As for Tuoba Fei, his face darkened and his eyes narrowed as he looked at Lu Ming. Kid, who are you calling a mad dog? I'm talking about who? Lu Ming smiled. A cold murderous intent flashed in Tuoba Fei's eyes as he said, Kid, do you know that you have to pay a price for saying certain words? Some prices are beyond your ability to bear. The mad dog is about to bite. Lu Ming said indifferently. Brat, you're courting death. Tuoba Fei's eyes turned even colder. He took a step forward and a powerful aura pressed down on Lu Ming. Great success of Bright Saint. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Tuoba Fei's cultivation had reached the great mastery of the Bright Saint realm, and he had the heaven's spiritual body. No wonder he was so arrogant and didn't put Su Ran in his eyes. If he was in the Tsang state, he could easily crush a god's son. Jade Lake has appeared. Suddenly, a cry of surprise spread throughout the entire area. Wang! Ripples appeared in the sky as a magnificent palace appeared out of nowhere. The palaces were endless, as if they were floating in the void. Apart from the palaces at the front that could be seen clearly, the palaces at the back were blurry, as if they were immortal palaces. Jade Lake had another name, the Jade Lake Immortal Palace. The appearance of the Jade Lake Immortal Palace attracted everyone's attention, including Tuoba Fei's. Kid, I'll let you go for now. Tuoba Fei said coldly as he glanced at the Jade Lake Immortal Palace. Lu Ming let out a faint smile. At that instant, the door of the Jade Lake Immortal Palace opened and a woman in a palace robe walked out. The woman seemed to be in her 40s, but she was still attractive and had a graceful figure. She must have been a beauty when she was young. The saintess of the Jade Lake has appeared today. Thank you all for coming. The woman's voice echoed throughout the area. I'm sure you all know that the saintess of the Jade Lake has the intention of choosing a protector to support each other in the future. Of course, whether you can become a protector or not depends on your own fate. The woman in the palace robe continued. None of the geniuses made a sound. They waited patiently. They were waiting for the saintess of the Jade Lake to appear. There are 9 saintesses of the Jade Lake in this generation. I'll let them come out now. The woman in the palace robe waved her hand, and ripples appeared in the sky again. Then, pavilions appeared out of nowhere and floated in the air. In each pavilion, there was a jade table with dishes and wine placed on top of it. Beside each jade table sat a peerlessly beautiful woman. 9 pavilions, 9 jade tables, 9 beauties. Each of them was as beautiful as a fairy who had descended to the mortal world. Each of them had a different temperament. So beautiful. Not far away, Tuoba Fei's eyes were wide open, and there was a burning flame in his eyes. Not only him, but many others were the same. The saintesses of the Jade Lake were indeed beautiful. Each of them was a rare beauty in the world. What was even rarer was that each of the saintesses of the Jade Lake had rare martial arts talent and a high cultivation level. However, what surprised Lu Ming was not the beauty of the 9 saintesses. Although the 9 saintesses were beautiful, Xian Yanqing was definitely better than them. What surprised Lu Ming was their talents. All of them were heavenly spiritual bodies. This shocked Lu Ming. Some emperor-level forces did not even have a heavenly spiritual body. However, the Jade Lake Divine Palace had 9 of them, and each of them was a rare beauty. Is this the power of the ancient moon's sacred ground? It's amazing. Lu Ming muttered. 9 pavilions, 9 saintesses. Today, whoever can climb to the top of the pavilion will be able to drink wine and discuss martial arts with the saintesses of the Jade Lake. The woman in the palace robe spoke again, and many people's eyes shone with passion. There were only 9 pavilions and 9 beauties, but there were so many geniuses present. Not only could one climb to the top of the pavilion to drink with the beauties, but it was also an honor. Who is willing to come up here to drink wine with my sister? A crisp voice rang out from the first pavilion. The woman beside the jade table stood up and waved her hand. A jade ladder extended from the pavilion and landed on the lake. Then let me go first. Wan Tianlong, the genius of the Wan clan, stepped out and landed on the jade ladder. He then walked up the jade ladder. Many people's eyes fell on Wan Tianlong, including the 2 princes of the Golden Crow clan, the geniuses of the Thunder God sect, the Great Baron Sword sect, and the other powerful forces of the ancient moon's sacred ground. However, these geniuses did not move. There were 9 pavilions, so they were not in a hurry. I've also taken a liking to this pavilion. Please go down. A deep voice sounded. Near Lu Ming and the rest, a young man with fiery red hair took a step forward and landed on the jade ladder. His entire body was emitting terrifying flames. Get lost. Wan Tianlong's eyes shone coldly. A light spot lit up in his palm and a great sage weapon battle sword appeared. He slashed at the red-haired youth. Raging flames burned the sky. Chapter 1747. The fiery-haired young man's combat strength was terrifying. His cultivation had reached the great success stage of the Bright Saint realm, and he had an inferior heaven's spiritual body. What surprised Lu Ming even more was that the young man had used a divine power art. Such a peerless genius from an emperor-level force was terrifying. He had comprehended a divine power art at the great success stage of the Bright Saint realm. In the Tsang state, many old monsters who had reached the great success stage of the Bright Saint realm for tens of thousands of years had yet to comprehend a divine power art. Although such a genius had the same cultivation as the God's Son, he could kill the God's Son in one move. Boom! Wan Tianlong's battle sword slashed the fiery light pillar, causing a terrifying vibration. The fiery-haired young man's body shook, and he was forced to retreat. You dare to use a divine power art at 10% completion against me? You're overestimating yourself. Wan Tianlong said coldly. Light spots lit up on his body. There were a total of 36 light spots, and a saint weapon flew out from each light spot. However, they were all bright saint weapons. In addition to his previous great saint weapon, there were a total of 37 saint weapons. The chi of the battle weapons gathered, forming a terrifying sword chi that slashed towards the fiery-haired young man. The fiery-haired young man roared, and used a divine power art again, blasting out a fiery pillar. However, this time, the fiery pillar was split apart by the sword chi. The sword chi did not stop, and continued to slash towards the fiery-haired young man. The fiery-haired young man was shocked, and he quickly retreated. However, it was too late. His body was split into 2 by the sword chi, and he turned into 2 balls of fire. He retreated quickly, and with great difficulty, he merged back into his human form. However, his face was pale, and his aura was weak. Although his spiritual body was a flame spiritual body, he was still severely injured by the sword chi. Wan Tianlong sneered, and with the saint weapons around him, he continued to climb up the jade stairs. No one came forward to compete with Wan Tianlong. Wan Tianlong was too strong. The fiery-haired young man was already strong enough, but he was still unable to withstand Wan Tianlong's sword qi, and was severely injured. Moreover, no one knew how much of Wan Tianlong's strength was used. Anyway, there were still 8 pavilions, and there was no need to compete with Wan Tianlong. Wan Tianlong successfully stepped onto the pavilion, and the jade stairs under the pavilion disappeared automatically. "Sir, please take a seat." The Jade Lake Saintess in the pavilion smiled and poured wine for Wan Tianlong personally, making many people envious. "Saintess, please." Wan Tianlong waved his hand and sat down at the jade table with the Jade Lake Saintess. At this moment, the Jade Lake Saintess in the second pavilion stood up. She also waved her hand, and a jade ladder was formed. "Which hero would like to come up and drink with this little sister?" A pleasant voice rang out. "Let me accompany you for a drink." The genius of the Thunder God sect smiled. His figure moved like a bolt of lightning. In the next moment, he appeared on the jade staircase. After which, he swept his gaze in all directions and said, "Is there anyone who wants to compete with me? If not, then this cup of wine belongs to this lay. I'll take you on." A voice rang out as a genius stepped onto the jade staircase. At the same time, a spear light burst forth, piercing through the air and piercing towards the genius of the Thunder God sect. This young man's battle prowess was definitely not weaker than the red-haired young man from before. Hand of lightning punishment. The genius of the Thunder God sect struck out with his palm. Boundless lightning flashed, forming a gigantic lightning palm print that blasted towards the young man. Boom! The spear light shattered. The young man was unable to resist and was directly blasted down the jade staircase. His body was charred black, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. He was severely injured in one move. What terrifying battle prowess! Many people gasped in shock. Was this the strength of the genius of the ancient moon's sacred ground? His battle prowess was too strong. He could easily crush the geniuses of the other emperor-level forces. Their spiritual bodies are of the same level, but their cultivation is stronger. Their superpowers are more advanced. Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. He could see that regardless of whether it was Wan Tianlong or the genius of the Thunder God sect, their cultivation had most likely reached the peak of the Bright Sage realm. Although their spiritual bodies were still inferior heaven's spiritual bodies, their superpowers were more advanced. With a higher cultivation base, coupled with a more advanced Abhijna technique, he could easily crush the other prodigies. Many geniuses from the other emperor-level forces turned pale. If the geniuses of the ancient moon's sacred ground were all so powerful, what chance did they have? The genius of the Thunder God sect displayed his powerful strength. No one dared to compete with him. He stepped onto the pavilion easily and drank with the Jade Lake Saintess. Then, the Saintess of the third pavilion formed a jade ladder just like before. This time, with a flash of golden light, the Golden Crow Ninth Prince stepped onto the jade ladder. The Golden Crow Ninth Prince was extremely arrogant. He looked around and no one dared to challenge him. The Golden Crow clan was extremely powerful. The Golden Crow Ninth Prince's aura was oppressive. No one dared to challenge him. He stepped onto the third pavilion easily. Then, another genius of the ancient moon's sacred ground stepped onto the fourth pavilion. This force was called the Ziji sect. The genius of the Ziji sect was also extremely powerful. He severely injured a genius who went up to compete with him in one move and stepped into the pavilion. Then, in the fifth pavilion, the youth with a battle sword on his back from the Great Baron's sword sect stepped onto the jade ladder. I don't believe that the geniuses of the ancient moon's sacred ground are all so powerful. This pavilion is mine. A youth shouted and rushed onto the jade ladder. He wanted to compete with the genius of the Great Baron's sword sect. Clang! The sound of a sword rang out. Then, everyone saw a flash of sword light. Then, the youth who went up to compete frantically retreated until he was thousands of meters away. He stood motionless in midair. In the next moment, a bloody mark appeared between the youth's eyebrows. Then, his body split into two and fell into the lake below. Dead. A genius with a heavenly spiritual body was killed just like that. Everyone only saw a flash of sword light. How terrifying. The genius of the Great Baron's sword sect looked cold and expressionless. He stepped onto the platform. No one dared to compete with him. He successfully stepped into the pavilion. There were already 5 pavilions that had been occupied by people. Then, the 6th and 7th pavilions were all occupied by the geniuses of the ancient moon's sacred ground. The geniuses of the Emperor-level forces outside the ancient moon's sacred ground did not step onto any of the pavilions. At this moment, everyone's gazes were cast towards the last 2 pavilions. There were only 2 left. Moreover, almost all of the geniuses of the ancient moon's sacred ground had stepped onto the pavilions. The remaining geniuses did not seem that strong. For example, the 10th Prince of the Golden Crow. When the Jade Ladder appeared on the 8th pavilion, a few figures rushed up at the same time. One of them was the 10th Prince of the Golden Crow. Scram! The 10th Prince of the Golden Crow was extremely domineering. His body was covered in the flames of the sun. The 10th Prince of the Golden Crow was in the Greater Bright Sage realm. You're the one who should scram. The others were not weak either. They unleashed their cultivation and fought with the 10th Prince of the Golden Crow. In an instant, they were evenly matched in the battle. Whoosh! 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 Then, another 5 or 6 figures rushed up the Jade Ladder. This made the battle even more intense. This was the most intense battle. The geniuses who had stepped onto the Jade Ladder were too strong. They completely suppressed the others and could not fight back. Chapter 1748. There are so many geniuses. Lu Ming was also watching. Any one of these geniuses could easily crush a god's son. If they were in the Tsang continent, they would be able to suppress all the geniuses in the continent. However, there were a bunch of them here. This battle lasted for half an hour. In the end, a peak bright sacred realm genius from outside the sacred grounds stepped onto the pavilion first. Although this genius cultivation had reached the peak bright sacred realm, his battle strength was obviously weaker than Wan Tianlong and the others, so he couldn't crush them. It took him a lot of effort to step onto the pavilion. Damn it, the last pavilion will definitely be mine. The 10th Golden Crow Prince didn't step onto the pavilion and was in a bad mood. There was only 1 pavilion left out of the 9. Everyone looked at the last pavilion. Some of the geniuses who hadn't fought before also showed their battle intent, such as Tuoba Fei. When the jade stairs of the 9th pavilion descended, at least a dozen figures rushed towards the jade stairs. Scram! Kill! Loud roars sounded as the geniuses started to fight fiercely. Tuoba Fei also joined in the battle. As long as he was the first to reach the pavilion, he would win and the others would retreat. However, none of the other geniuses were weak and dared to compete. Needless to say, all of them had heavenly spiritual bodies and their cultivation had reached the greater success stage of the bright sacred realm. If they didn't have enough battle strength, they wouldn't be able to step onto the pavilion. Various lights flashed as super skills were unleashed and clashed fiercely. The jade stairs and the pavilion had runes shining on them. The terrifying force was neutralized when it landed on them. Caw! The Golden Crow cried. The 10th Golden Crow Prince turned into the 3-legged Golden Crow. His wings were like blades and he was surrounded by the solar true fire. Normal geniuses of the same level weren't his match. Tuoba Fei was also fighting fiercely, but in the end, he was sent flying by the 10th Golden Crow Prince's claw. He retreated in the air and even his hair was burning. Damn it! Tuoba Fei roared. He was unwilling to give up. Lu Ming and Su Ren instinctively glanced at Tuoba Fei, but Tuoba Fei saw it. He had just been blasted down and his hair was burnt. He was in a sorry state. When he saw Lu Ming and Su Ran's gazes, it was as if they were mocking him. He was instantly enraged and vented all his anger on the 2 of them. What are you looking at? You're just a piece of trash. You don't even dare to compete with me, how ridiculous. Tuoba Fei yelled. He was enraged when he recalled Lu calling him a mad dog. Lu Ming and Su Ran did not respond. They continued to watch the battle on the jade stairs, ignoring Tuoba Fei. Scram, you two trash, be an eyesore. Tuoba Fei became even more furious when he saw that the two of them actually dared to ignore him. With a flash, he appeared beside Su Ran and sent a slap towards Su Ran. Su Ran was shocked and quickly retreated, but Tuoba Fei was too fast for him to dodge. At this moment, Lu Ming struck with his palm and collided with Tuoba Fei's palm. Tuoba Fei's body trembled and he felt that the bones in his hand were about to break. He could not help but retreat 2 steps, looking at Lu Ming in horror. He felt that the power in Lu Ming's palm was extremely terrifying, as if it was going to shatter him. You're just a mad dog. How dare you bite people here? I have to teach you a lesson. Lu Ming took a step forward. His palm was like a knife and he blasted it toward Tuoba Fei. His speed was as fast as lightning. A terrifying pressure completely enveloped Tuoba Fei. Tuoba Fei was shocked and took out a sacred weapon to block. However, when Lu Ming's palm landed on the sacred weapon, Tuoba Fei's sacred weapon deformed and exploded. Tuoba Fei's eyes widened. Although a sacred weapon was a sacred weapon, it was extremely sturdy. However, it had been shattered by Lu Ming's palm. Tuoba Fei was shocked. The terrifying power made Tuoba Fei spit out a mouthful of blood as he retreated. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and instantly appeared above Tuoba Fei's head. He stepped on Tuoba Fei's face. Tuoba Fei screamed miserably. His body was like a cannonball, smashing into the lake. Su Ran was dumbfounded. Lu Ming's battle strength had completely exceeded his expectations. When he first met Lu Ming in the 100-tribe battlefield, Lu Ming's cultivation was far inferior to his. Although Lu Ming's battle strength was strong, it was still inferior to his. Later on, Lu Ming surpassed him. In the end, when they escaped from the 100-tribe battlefield, although Lu Ming's battle strength was strong, it was still far from what it was now. How long had it been since they last met? Lu Ming could already beat Tuoba Fei like he was a puppy. Even a sacred weapon was shattered by Lu Ming's palm. What kind of battle strength was that? Tuoba Fei couldn't react for a moment. Su Ran, didn't you want to go up? I'll send you up. Lu Ming said and then stepped towards the 9th pavilion. Su Ran then came to his senses and instinctively followed Lu Ming. The two of them stepped onto the jade stairs one after another. Where did this brat come from? Get lost. On the jade stairs, there was a young man who looked like a chimpanzee. His arms were thicker than a person's thigh. He was more than 3 meters tall and punched out. His fist was the size of a human head, and it was aimed at Lu Ming's head. A dull boom resounded in the air. This young man was fighting on the jade stairs and didn't see Lu Ming make a move at all. Now, he wanted to blast Lu Ming down with a punch. Lu Ming also punched out. Dong! The two fists collided. Crack! The sound of bones breaking was heard. The young chimpanzee's eyes popped out. His fist had completely exploded. Get lost! Lu Ming stepped forward and slapped out. A huge palm formed and slapped the young chimpanzee down the jade stairs. Many onlookers' eyes fell on Lu Ming. This person is so strong. He can easily crush others. Could he be another genius from a sacred ground? I don't think so. He came with Su Ran from the Blood Jade Palace. Many people were guessing Lu Ming's identity. The geniuses in the other 8 pavilions looked at Lu Ming curiously. Kill! Lu Ming hollered. The power of the soul attack dashed toward the other geniuses on the jade ladder. The bodies of those geniuses trembled violently. Lu Ming then punched them one by one and blasted them down. What a strong soul power! In the first pavilion, Wan Tianlong spoke. However, his voice remained calm. Lu Ming's soul power was not bad and his combat power was quite strong. However, he did not take him seriously. Lu Ming punched down a few geniuses and strode forward. There were still a few geniuses in front of him who stopped fighting and looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's you. The 10th Golden Crow Prince saw Lu Ming and narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect Lu Ming to be so strong. Get lost. Lu Ming casually glanced at the few of them. Without stopping, he strode forward. Everyone, let's work together and knock this kid down. Chapter 1749. Alright, let's team up and defeat this person. We'll fight. Attack. All of a sudden, the other elites and the 10th Golden Crow Prince attacked Lu Ming together. When the few of them joined forces, their powers were extremely terrifying. They used all kinds of skills to destroy Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not even bat an eyelid. His hand shook and slashed out like a blade. Lu Ming's body was surrounded by the power of the law of chaos. His hands seemed to contain a prison-suppressing monument that could suppress everything. Bang! 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 His palm struck down and those magical skills dissipated like bubbles. Lu Ming was like an immortal god of war. He continued to move forward and nothing could touch him. The expressions of the 10th Golden Crow Prince and the others turned unpleasant. They could not do anything to Lu Ming even though they had teamed up. Get lost. Lu Ming said coldly as he continued to attack with his hand. Some of them tried their best to exchange blows with Lu Ming, but their bodies trembled as if they had been electrocuted. They were sent flying and their bones felt like they were about to break. Lu Ming had already gone easy on them. If he attacked with his full strength, they would all die. The 10th Prince was the only one left on the jade stairs. He looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. Get lost. Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Ming, this is the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground. The Golden Crow clan is in the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground. Give me some face and let me have this pavilion. I'll let bygones be bygones. The 10th Prince sent a message to Lu Ming. Give you some face? Who do you think you are? Get lost. Lu Ming shouted. He reached out and grabbed one of the 10th Golden Crow Prince's wings. He swung it and threw the 10th Golden Crow Prince out. The 10th Prince was ridiculous. He could not defeat Lu Ming, so he used the Golden Crow clan to threaten Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not believe that the seniors of the Golden Crow clan would attack him. Therefore, he did not need to be polite to the 10th Prince. Lu Ming. The Golden Crow 10th Prince steadied himself in the distance. He gritted his teeth and glared at Lu Ming. In another pavilion, the 9th Prince's eyes also turned cold. Who was he to call the 10th Prince? What about him? Scolding the 10th Prince was the same as scolding him. The 10th Prince was thrown down the jade stairs. There was no one left on the jade stairs. Su Ran, let's go. Lu Ming looked at Su Ran, who was in a daze. He stepped forward and walked into the 9th pavilion with Su Ran. There were people in all 9 pavilions. Sir, how should I address you? You're truly suppressing the crowd. Little sister admires you. In the 9th pavilion, there was a lady in a long purple dress. Her skin was as fair as jade and she was extremely beautiful. She looked at Lu Ming with her beautiful eyes and smiled sweetly. She was extremely alluring. I'm Lu Ming. Su Ran. Lu Ming and Su Ran cupped their fists. I'm Ziling. Please have a seat. Ziling will pour wine for you. Ziling said. Miss Ziling, you're too polite. I'm here to help Brother Su. Brother Su admires the Jade Lake Saintess very much. Lu Ming smiled faintly and pushed Su Ran out. No, I'm just here to broaden my horizons. Su Ran hurriedly declined. He knew that with his talent, the Jade Lake Saintess would not take a liking to him. He was just here to broaden his horizons and join in the fun. He did not expect to be brought to the pavilion by Lu Ming to sit at the same table as the Jade Lake Saintess. He was at a loss for what to do now. It seems that Ziling's charm is not enough for you to take a liking to me. Ziling sighed. Her eyes were filled with resentment. Ziling was already an outstanding beauty. Coupled with her expression, she was extremely seductive. Any man would be tempted. Miss Ziling, you've misunderstood. Su Ran hurriedly said. Lu Ming also looked a little embarrassed. Ziling then smiled and said, Ziling was just joking with you. Come, it's our first time meeting. Let Ziling offer you a toast. Lu Ming and Su Ran raised their wine cups and downed them in one gulp. Ziling was very good at talking. She quickly broke the awkward atmosphere and chatted with Lu Ming and Su Ran. It was obvious that the Jade Lake Saintess had received special training. Dealing with people was one of them. Otherwise, there would not have been so many peerless geniuses since ancient times who fell for the Jade Lake Saintess's pomegranate skirt. Outside the pavilion, many people were envious. Which genius would not want to drink and chat with the Jade Lake Saintess? It was the same in the other pavilions. They chatted merrily. After 3 rounds of wine, 2 jade tokens appeared in Ziling's hand. She handed them to Lu Ming and Su Ran. It's getting late. Ziling needs to go back and cultivate. If you have time in the future, you can send Ziling a message or come to the Jade Lake Palace as guests. Lu Ming and Su Ran received the jade tokens. Of course. Then, Lu Ming will take his leave. Lu Ming cupped his fists and left the pavilion. Su Ran also left the pavilion, looking a little reluctant. What's wrong? Are you interested? Lu Ming smiled. Sigh, with Miss Ziling's talent, how could she be interested in me? The competition for the position of guardian is not limited to these people. If it's you, Lu Ming, it might be possible. Su Ran sighed. Of course, it was not that simple to become a guardian. All one had to do was step into a pavilion. Today, the Jade Lake Saintess had come into being and was just making some friends. In the future, they would have to interact more. Moreover, they could still compete with other geniuses. In the end, they would win the heart of the beauty and become the Jade Lake Saintess's guardian. It's impossible for me. Lu Ming smiled. He came here more to ask for help from the Sacred Ground forces, not to flirt with girls. After the people in the 9 pavilions left, the space rippled again. Then, the 9 pavilions and the Jade Lake Divine Palace disappeared into the void. A small world? Lu Ming whispered. The sacred heart of an emperor-level expert could condense a small world that was like a real world. There were probably many emperor-level experts in the Jade Lake Divine Palace, so it was normal for it to have a small world. In fact, many emperor-level forces did not have the real core. The real core was the small world of the emperor-level expert. It was definitely more mysterious and vast than the mountain and river diagram. After all, the mountain and river diagram was only a treasure refined by an emperor-level expert. Kid, stop right there. Just as the two were about to leave, a cold voice sounded. 2 golden lights flashed and 2 figures appeared in front of Lu Ming. The Golden Crow 10th Prince and the Golden Crow 9th Prince. Kid, how dare you insult the Golden Crow clan? You're courting death. Kneel down and apologize immediately. The Golden Crow 9th Prince said coldly. He was wearing a golden robe and his body was covered in golden flames that distorted the space. I beat up the small one and the big one comes. I wonder if the old one will come after I beat up the big one. Lu Ming curled the corner of his mouth and said contemptuously. Arrogant, do you think you're a match for my 9th brother? Chapter 1750. The 10th Golden Crow Prince shouted. The Golden Crows were proud, let alone their crown prince. As for the Golden Crow 10th Prince, he had repeatedly suffered in the hands of Lu Ming in the 100 Clan battlefield. Now that he had broken through to the Saint Realm, he was similarly crushed by Lu Ming. His murderous intent toward Lu Ming was very strong. However, although Lu Ming was strong, he didn't think that Lu Ming could fight against his ninth brother. The ninth Golden Crow Prince had reached the peak of the Bright Saint realm. His skills were very advanced and he was much stronger than him. He believed that he could easily suppress Lu Ming. It's just a sick bird. I can suppress it with a flip of my hand. Lu Ming said indifferently. Huh, kid, you're very arrogant. I'd like to see if you have the right to be so arrogant. There was a cold glint in the eyes of the Golden Crow Ninth Prince. The flames of the sun on his body were burning fiercely. He was like the son of the sun. His powerful aura suppressed Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was calm and did not feel anything at all. The commotion attracted the attention of the surrounding people. They all looked over. After beating up the small one, the big one comes. The Golden Crows are getting more and more shameless. At this moment, a clear voice sounded. It was clearly a woman's voice. The ninth Golden Crow Prince and the 10th Golden Crow Prince's faces darkened. They looked in the direction of the voice. Two women stepped through the air and arrived. One of the women was wearing a phoenix dress. Her figure was graceful and her beauty was unparalleled. Huang Ling. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He was about to find Huang Ling and didn't expect to meet her here. The woman beside Huang Ling was wearing a green dress. She had a round face and jade-like skin. She was also very beautiful and wasn't much worse than Huang Ling. The two women walked through the air like fairies descending to the mortal world, attracting everyone's attention. Who are these two women? They're so beautiful, especially the one in the phoenix dress. She's even more beautiful than the Jade Lake Saintess. Of course. She's the top beauty of the Phoenix Palace, Huang Ling. Of course she's beautiful. The other woman isn't much worse. She's the genius of the clear snow pavilion, Mu Qingxue. Sounds of discussion could be heard from the surroundings. Huang Ling and Mu Qingxue came to Lu Ming's side. What are you looking at? Do you want to eat me? Come at me if you can. Mu Qingxue said sweetly as she glared at the Golden Crow 9th Crown Prince and the 10th Crown Prince. The voice just now was from Mu Qingxue. Huang Ling, Mu Qingxue, could it be that the two of you want to meddle in other people's business? The Golden Crow 9th Prince said coldly. Lu Ming is my friend. What do you mean meddling in other people's business? If you want to make a move on him, I naturally have to interfere. Huang Ling said with a smile. The Golden Crow 9th Prince's eyes turned serious. Although Huang Ling's cultivation was weaker than his, only at the great accomplishment of the Bright Saint realm, Huang Ling's physique was extremely terrifying. If they were to really fight, he was not confident. Moreover, Mu Qingxue's battle power was not any weaker than his. If they fought, he would most likely be at a disadvantage. Brat, consider yourself lucky, but you can't be so lucky every time. 10th brother, let's go. With that, the Golden Crow 10th Prince and the Golden Crow 10th Prince turned into two beams of golden light and left. Lucky? Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not comment. After the Golden Crow 9th Prince and the Golden Crow 10th Prince left, Huang Ling looked at Lu Ming and blinked a few times. She smiled and said, the power of a beauty is really strong. Looks like even heroes can't resist the charms of a beauty and the charm of the Jade Lake Saintess, Lu Ming. Clearly, Huang Ling had seen Lu Ming stepping onto the 9th pavilion and drinking and chatting with the Jade Lake Saintess. Lu Ming smiled awkwardly and said, don't misunderstand. I'm here with Su Ran. I just happened to lend her a hand. Is that so? Huang Ling pursed her lips and smiled. You're Lu Ming. Mu Qingxue's eyes widened as she sized up Lu Ming. Then she said, you're not bad looking, your battle power is not bad. No wonder Huang Ling misses you and talks about you all the time. Qingxue, don't talk nonsense. I'm not. Huang Ling's smiling face immediately turned red as she glared at Mu Qingxue. Oh. You're not. Then I might have remembered wrongly. Mu Qingxue revealed a sly expression and then laughed coquettishly. Huang Ling's face turned even redder. She quickly changed the topic and asked, Lu Ming, why did you suddenly come to the ancient moon's sacred ground? Of course it's because I miss our great beauty Huang Ling. I'm here to see you. Mu Qingxue interjected again. Mu Qingxue obviously liked to joke. Huang Ling's face and neck were red with embarrassment. Lu Ming smiled and said, Great beauty Huang Ling is so beautiful. Naturally, I wanted to come and see you earlier. However, I'm here for other important matters. Oh? What is it? Huang Ling asked. It's about the evil spirit sect. The evil spirit sect has occupied Tsang State. Not only Tsang State, but also Cloud State and Emperor State. I'm here this time to ask for help from the powerful forces of the ancient moon's sacred ground. Lu Ming said. The evil spirit sect. Huang Ling and Mu Qingxue's expressions changed at the same time. Lu Ming, let's go to Phoenix Palace first. We'll talk as we walk. Huang Ling said. Lu Ming nodded, and the four of them immediately headed towards Phoenix Palace. On the way, Lu Ming briefly explained what had happened in Tsang State. Huang Ling, I wonder if Phoenix Palace can send experts to destroy the evil spirit sect? Lu Ming finally asked. Huang Ling frowned and said, Lu Ming, according to what you said, the evil spirit sect and the emperor family worked together to kill Emperor Yun in one fell swoop. I'm afraid they are very powerful. There are at least 2 emperor-level experts. If Phoenix Palace wants to send people, they will have to send at least 4 or 5 emperor-level experts. I don't have the authority to send such experts. Lu Ming nodded. He naturally understood this. Emperor-level experts were high and mighty and could dominate a region. How could a mere saintess like Huang Ling order them around? In Phoenix Palace, only the palace lord has the authority to do so. Huang Ling continued. How can we meet the palace master of Phoenix Palace? Lu Ming asked. The palace master has a profound cultivation base and is in seclusion all year round. Even other emperor-level experts would find it difficult to meet her, let alone me. I have seen her less than 3 times. Huang Ling explained. Such emperor-level figures were elusive. It was indeed difficult to meet them. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. He had long guessed that it would not be so easy to ask for help from the sacred grounds. The main reason was that he was too weak. It was too difficult to meet those emperor-level experts unless they took the initiative to meet him. I have a way to let you meet the palace master of Phoenix Palace. Mu Qingxue said. What way? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In a month's time, some saintesses and saints of Phoenix Palace will be entering a phoenix nest to fight for a treasure. If you can help Phoenix Ling obtain that treasure, the palace master of Phoenix Palace might summon you. Chapter 1751. Phoenix Nest? Lu Ming was confused. That's right, Lu Ming. In a month's time, the saints and saintesses of Phoenix Palace will enter a destroyed phoenix nest to search for the heart of a parasol tree. Every saintess and saint can invite a few friends to help. I wanted to ask for your help too. If we succeed, we might be able to meet the palace master. Huang Ling explained. You're my friend. Even if this didn't happen, would still help you. However, there are many sky prides in the ancient moon holy land. With my cultivation, I'm afraid I won't be able to help. Lu Ming said. No, because only those at the Bright Saint Realm are allowed to enter this time. Huang Ling said. The 4 of them chatted as they walked. Huang Ling also told them about the matter in detail. It turned out that not long ago, the Phoenix Palace had discovered a phoenix nest. Unfortunately, this phoenix nest had been destroyed long ago, and the phoenixes inside were all dead. The elites of Phoenix Palace had entered the phoenix nest to investigate, but they were surrounded by the phoenix spirits and escaped with serious injuries. After many tests, Phoenix Palace discovered that there were many heroic spirits left behind by phoenixes after their deaths in the phoenix nest. These heroic spirits were usually in hibernation, but if an outsider were to enter, they would attack together. The more powerful one was, the more powerful the phoenix spirits would be alerted. Even the emperor-level elites of Phoenix Palace had to retreat with serious injuries. The weaker one's cultivation was, the less likely it was to alert the powerful phoenix spirits. At most, the weaker ones would be alerted. The elites of Phoenix Palace had also discovered that there was an ancient parasol tree in the phoenix nest that had condensed the heart of a parasol tree. This was a priceless treasure to Phoenix Palace. Therefore, Phoenix Palace decided to send their bright saints and saintesses into the phoenix nest in a month's time to retrieve the heart of a parasol tree. Each of them could invite 3 friends outside of Phoenix Palace to help. In fact, this was a test for the saints and saintesses. If anyone could obtain the heart of a parasol tree, they would be highly regarded by Phoenix Palace and their status would be higher than the other saints and saintesses. The 4 of them chatted as they walked. Not long after, a majestic mountain peak appeared in front of them. This mountain peak was like a phoenix spreading its wings and dancing in the air. It was vivid and lifelike. There were many palaces built on the mountain peak. This was the Phoenix Palace. Lu Ming discovered that the cultivation environment here was better than other places. Lu Ming, Su Ran, the 2 of you will live in Phoenix Palace from now on. How about it? Huang Ling said. I couldn't ask for more. Lu Ming said with a smile. Living here was much better than living in an inn. Su Ran naturally nodded repeatedly. The 4 of them flew into the Phoenix Palace. Huang Ling arranged a place for Lu Ming to stay. Then, she brought Lu Ming and the others to tour the Phoenix Palace. After a round of sightseeing, the group arrived at Lu Ming's residence, which was a side courtyard. Lu Ming, I will do my best to report the matter regarding the evil spirit sect and see if I can meet the palace master. You can stay here. If you need anything, you can contact me at any time. Huang Ling said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. After Huang Ling and Mu Qingxue left, Lu Ming and Su Ran each entered a room to cultivate. Time flew by. A month passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming had bitterly cultivated the chaotic tribulation finger. Now, it had reached 18%, and its power had increased again. In a side courtyard of Phoenix Palace, 3 people were gathered. They were Huang Ling, Lu Ming, and Mu Qingxue. Only then did Lu Ming know that Mu Qingxue was also one of the people Huang Ling had invited to help. Qin Yi is really slow. He's still not here. Mu Qingxue snorted. Every saint and saintess could invite 3 friends to help. Now that Lu Ming and Mu Qingxue had arrived, there was still one person missing. Anyway, there's still time. Let's wait a little longer. Huang Ling said. At that moment, Lu Ming looked up at the sky. A young man stepped on the air and arrived. This person was dressed in a white robe and was quite handsome. He stepped on the air and smiled. Huang Ling, I'm sorry for being late. I thought you weren't coming. Mu Qingxue said coldly, as if she was not very interested in this person. Mu Qingxue's attitude did not anger the young man. He still had a smile on his face. He turned to look at Lu Ming and said, Huang Ling, this is? He's Lu Ming, Lu Ming. He's called Qin Yi. Huang Ling introduced. So it's Brother Lu. Qin Yi cupped his fists. Brother Qin. Lu Ming also cupped his fists. However, he had a feeling that Qin Yi's smile was very fake. Qin Yi sized up Lu Ming and said, Brother Lu, you look very unfamiliar. Are you not from the ancient moon's sacred ground? No, I'm from Tsang province. Lu Ming said. Tsang province? The corner of Qin Yi's mouth twitched slightly, revealing a trace of contempt. Although he quickly hid it, Lu Ming still saw it. May I know what Brother Lu's cultivation is now? Qin Yi asked again. Lu Ming had used the illusory breathing technique to conceal his cultivation aura. Therefore, Qin Yi could not see it. Hey, Qin Yi, you're asking too many questions. Why should I tell you what Lu Ming's cultivation is? Mu Qingxue said unhappily. Qingxue, you're wrong. Since we're a team and we're going to enter the Phoenix Nest together to help Huang Ling complete her mission, we naturally have to understand the cultivation of others. Only then can we work together, right? Qin Yi smiled. His words seemed reasonable and Mu Qingxue was speechless. It's just cultivation. There's nothing to hide. My cultivation is at Bright Saint Initial Success. Lu Ming said. Bright Saint Initial Success. Qin Yi's disdain was even stronger this time. He said, Bright Saint Initial Success. To be honest, it's not enough. Huang Ling, if you can't find any friends, I can introduce you to a few who are at least at Bright Saint Initial Success. Although Qin Yi still had a smile on his face, his contempt was obvious. Huang Ling frowned and showed a trace of displeasure. She said, no need. I believe that Lu Ming's combat strength is not weaker than a Bright Saint Initial Success. He will be of great help. Oh, is that so? Qin Yi's lips curled into a cold smile and he did not say anything else. All right, it's getting late. Let's go. Huang Ling said. Immediately, the four of them soared into the sky and soon arrived at a mountain peak. There were already quite a number of people on the mountain peak. Lu Ming scanned the area and discovered that there were 24 people. They were in groups of 4 and were divided into 6 groups. Obviously, they were the other saints and saintesses of Phoenix Palace and their friends. Including Huang Ling's group, there were 7 groups in total. As soon as Lu Ming and the rest arrived, many cold and indifferent gazes looked at them. The 9th Prince of the Golden Crow. Lu Ming glanced around and saw the 9th Prince of the Golden Crow looking at him coldly. Besides, Lu Ming also saw many familiar faces. For example, Wan Tianlong of the Wan clan and the geniuses of the Wilderness Sword sect. Chapter 1752. There were a total of 28 people in the 7 groups. They sized each other up and revealed their fighting spirit. The atmosphere was tense. Huang Ling, I will definitely be the one to take the heart of the parasol tree. You should give up. A young man looked at Huang Ling and said coldly. He was full of confidence. He was wearing a phoenix robe and was handsome and noble. What a joke. The heart of the parasol tree will definitely be mine. A voice came from the side. It was from a lady. Huang Ling looked calm and did not say a word. The man's name is Huang Kong and the woman's name is Huang Bing. Both of them have the highest cultivation bases among this batch of holy sons and holy maidens. However, their talents can't compare to Huang Ling's. That's why they have been opposing Huang Ling and trying to suppress her. Mu Qingxue transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. Huang Ling had the immortal heavenly phoenix body and her spiritual body could evolve continuously. She had already evolved to a medium heavenly spiritual body in the 100-tribe battlefield. Ordinary elites could not compare to her. Lu Ming looked around and saw that the helpers that Huang Kong and Huang Bing had invited were very strong. Their auras were strong and hard to predict. For example, the Golden Crow 9th Prince was beside Huang Bing and Wan Tianlong was beside Huang Kong. Swoosh! 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 At that moment, the sound of air being torn apart could be heard in the sky. 3 old men flew through the air. Greetings, Elder. Huang Ling and the other saints and saintesses of Phoenix Palace bowed. Rise. The leading old man waved his hand and said. Everyone is here. Now, follow us. After the leading old man said that, he flew into the air and the others followed. Soon, they came to a valley. There was a black vortex in the valley and behind the vortex was the phoenix nest. Let's go in. The leading old man said. Let's go. Huang Kong was the first to speak. He rushed into the vortex with his 3 helpers and disappeared. Then, Huang Bing and the others also rushed into the vortex and disappeared. Let's go in too, Huang Ling said. She was the first to rush into the black tortoise. Lu Ming and the others followed closely behind. The moment they rushed into the vortex, they appeared on a mountain peak. They looked up and there was a thick black mist in front of them that obstructed their vision. The others appeared not far away. Swoosh! Whoosh! Then, Huang Kong and the others flew forward and disappeared into the thick black fog. According to the experts of Phoenix Palace, the parasol tree is in the depths of the phoenix nest, Huang Ling said. After that, the 4 of them also flew forward. As they flew into the fog, they realized that it was really too thick. Visibility was not high. At the beginning, they could still see the figures of the other saints and saintesses. Later on, those figures completely disappeared. After flying for an unknown period of time, they finally flew out of the area shrouded in fog. Their vision widened, but they did not see the other holy sons, holy daughters, and their helpers. Clearly, flying in the fog, everyone's direction was a little off, and they had long since separated. This place seems to have experienced a terrifying battle. Mu Qingxue exclaimed in surprise. Looking into the distance, one could see many mountains, but most of them had collapsed. Some seemed to have been cut off by a sword, and some seemed to have been smashed by a palm. They even saw huge palm and fist prints on the ground. This phoenix nest should be a small world. I don't know how long ago there was a terrifying battle. Almost all the phoenixes here were slaughtered. Next, we have to be careful. I'm afraid that the phoenix spirit will appear and attack us, Huang Ling said. The 4 of them concealed their auras and flew forward. They had not flown far when suddenly, the cry of a phoenix resounded through the sky. Then, a phoenix rushed out from the ground. This phoenix did not seem to have a physical body. Instead, it was a black shadow. Its eyes were filled with intense resentment as it pounced toward the 4 of them. Mu Qingxue shouted and struck out with her palm. A terrifying cold wave rushed out and sent the phoenix spirit flying. However, the phoenix spirit roared again and rushed toward Mu Qingxue. Cold wave sword, slash! Mu Qingxue shouted and clenched her fist. A terrifying cold wave appeared and condensed into a long sword. With a slash, the phoenix spirit was split into 2. It turned into wisps of black smoke and rushed into the ground, disappearing. Divine Power Art. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Mu Qingxue had used a divine power art. Mu Qingxue's cultivation was also very high. She had reached the peak of the bright sage realm. Her divine power art was profound and her combat power was strong. No wonder the Golden Crow 9th Prince was so afraid and left directly. After destroying a phoenix spirit, the 4 of them sped up and rushed forward. However, not long after, another phoenix cry sounded. This time, several phoenix spirits appeared and pounced toward the 4 of them. Those with weak cultivation, stand back. Don't get in the way. Qin Yi glanced coldly at Lu Ming, then stepped forward and charged toward the phoenix spirits. Qin Yi's combat power was not weaker than Mu Qingxue's. No wonder he was so arrogant. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Since he was not asked to do anything, he could not be bothered to do anything. He stood beside Huang Ling. Mu Qingxue and Qin Yi joined forces and quickly destroyed a few phoenix spirits. The 4 of them continued forward, but more and more phoenix spirits appeared. Mu Qingxue and Qin Yi found it more and more difficult to deal with them. Huang Ling is really something. She invited a piece of trash. Otherwise, with an expert, we would have an easier time. Seeing more and more phoenix spirits, Qin Yi's face became uglier and uglier. He began to not hide his thoughts and mocked. However, at this time, a huge phoenix spirit appeared. This phoenix spirit was exceptionally huge, several times larger than the other phoenix spirits. Its aura was extremely strong and terrifying. It screamed and pounced toward Qin Yi. Qin Yi unleashed all his strength and blasted out a huge palm print toward the phoenix spirit. However, the phoenix spirit's claws were unparalleled. With a claw, it destroyed Qin Yi's palm print. Its wings were like blades and slashed toward Qin Yi. Qin Yi's face changed drastically. He took out a sacred weapon to block, but his entire body was sent flying. His face was pale and he almost vomited blood. This phoenix spirit is too strong. We can't fight it. Let's leave this place first and take a detour. Qin Yi suggested. Detour? In my opinion, there are such powerful phoenix spirits everywhere. If we can't break through here, other places will be the same. Lu Ming said. Shut up. What right does a piece of trash like you have to speak? We are fighting. What are you doing? Qin Yi shouted coldly. At this time, the powerful phoenix spirit pounced toward Qin Yi again. Qin Yi's face changed drastically. He turned around and ran, shouting, "Listen to me. Take a detour. Even if we join forces, we are no match for it." Qin Yi's speed was very fast. As soon as he ran, the huge phoenix hero spirit pounced on phoenix spirit and Lu Ming. Huang Ling, be careful. Mu Qingxue shouted. She wanted to rush over to help, but it was too late. Chapter 1753. Huang Ling would not retreat. Her thoughts were the same as Lu Ming's. There were phoenix spirits everywhere in this place. There might be stronger spirits in other places. They could only rush over. If they could not even rush over here, how could they compete with the other saints and saintesses? Let me. At this time, Lu Ming spoke and stepped out. A powerful aura surged from Lu Ming's body. Then, his palm slashed out like a knife toward the sharp claws of the phoenix spirit. A bright sage initial level wants to take on the phoenix spirit head-on. You are ridiculous. You are courting death. In the distance, Qin Yi sneered. However, in the next moment, his smile disappeared. Bam! Lu Ming's palm collided with the sharp claws of the phoenix spirit. However, the phoenix spirit's body was sent flying. Then, Lu Ming stepped out and a huge chaotic flipping sky seal appeared in his palm. It was as big as a mountain and pressed down on the phoenix spirit. Although the chaotic flipping sky seal was only a territorial martial technique, when Lu Ming used it with his current cultivation, its power was still terrifying. Boom! The chaotic flipping sky seal pressed down on the phoenix spirit. The phoenix spirit trembled and cried out continuously. Lu Ming's hands did not stop. The chaotic flipping sky seal continued to condense and attack the phoenix spirit. After 5 to 6 consecutive attacks, the phoenix spirit finally could not take it anymore. It exploded with a bang and turned into black smoke. In the distance, Qin Yi's expression froze. Then, it became extremely gloomy. Lu Ming's combat strength was so strong. He was only a bright sage initial level, but he could suppress the phoenix spirit. Was his combat strength not stronger than Qin Yi's? In Qin Yi's opinion, he was no match for the phoenix spirit. Now, Lu Ming could kill the phoenix spirit. Wasn't that a slap to his face? Especially in front of the two beauties, Huang Ling and Mu Qingxue. A cold light flashed in Qin Yi's eyes. Huang Ling and Mu Qingxue were stunned. This guy's combat strength has become stronger. Huang Ling muttered. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared beside Mu Qingxue, helping her deal with the other phoenix spirits. These phoenix spirits were much weaker, so how could they be a match for Lu Ming? He took out one phoenix spirit after another, and they were quickly wiped out. Let's go. Lu Ming said to Huang Ling. Lu Ming, what do you mean? You clearly have such powerful combat strength, so why didn't you make a move just now? Were you deliberately waiting for us to be unable to resist before making a move to show off your strength? You are disregarding the safety of others. Qin Yi flew back and scolded with a gloomy face. Didn't you tell me not to make a move just now? Moreover, the one who wanted to show off was you, right? Of course, I had to give you the chance. Unfortunately, I didn't expect you to be a piece of trash. Lu Ming said calmly. What did you say? Qin Yi's expression became even gloomier. Lu Ming actually dared to call him trash. Isn't that so? Also, to borrow your words, trash, stand at the back and don't make a move, lest you get in the way. Lu Ming sneered and then stepped forward. Mu Qingxue let out a crisp laugh and looked at Qin Yi with disdain. Then, she and Huang Ling followed Lu Ming and moved forward. Qin Yi clenched his fists tightly and a shocking murderous intent burst out from his eyes. Lu Ming actually dared to humiliate him. He was just a person from Tsang State and he actually dared to humiliate him, a supreme talent of a sacred ground force. He was simply courting death. Qin Yi's eyes darted around a few times before he followed Lu Ming and the rest and moved forward. Then, more phoenix spirits appeared. However, with Lu Ming taking the lead, these phoenix spirits couldn't stop them at all and they quickly rushed forward. Half an hour later, they had flown for tens of thousands of miles and finally, no more phoenix spirits appeared. Without the appearance of any phoenix spirits, their speed increased sharply and they turned into 4 streams of light that cut across the sky. After flying for an unknown distance, a towering ancient tree appeared in front of the 4 of them. Is that the ancient parasol tree? It's actually rooted in the void. Looking at the towering tree in front of them, Lu Ming's eyes were filled with shock. That ancient tree was so huge that it blotted out the sky. It was unknown how tall it was, but the most shocking thing was that the roots of the ancient tree were actually rooted in the void. It was as if a towering ancient tree had grown out of the void. This scene was really shocking. Huang Ling was slightly better as she seemed to have already known about it. However, Mu Qingxue and Qin Yi were also a little dumbfounded. That's the ancient parasol tree. The heart of the parasol tree is up there. Let's go. Huang Ling said and took the lead to fly forward. Not long after, they slowly approached the ancient parasol tree. The closer they got, the more they felt that the ancient parasol tree was huge. It was as if it could hold up a world. Below the ancient parasol tree, there was a very majestic mountain that pierced through the sky. The top of the mountain was near the roots of the ancient parasol tree. When they arrived, they realized that they couldn't fly up as they were obstructed by a powerful force. What's going on? How can we go up the ancient parasol tree if we can't fly up? Mu Qingxue was puzzled. That mountain goes straight to the roots of the ancient parasol tree. Could it be that we go up from there? Lu Ming said. Let's go and take a look. Huang Ling said and the 4 of them flew forward. Whoosh! Whoosh! At that moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard from other directions. There were also people flying toward the mountain. Huang Kong, Huang Bing, Huang Xian. Huang Ling whispered. In addition to them, there were 3 other saints. The saints brought their people here. The 4 of them arrived at the mountain almost at the same time. There was a jade staircase on the mountain that led from the foot of the mountain to the top. At the foot of the mountain, there was a stone tablet with a line of words written on it. If you want to go up the parasol tree, you have to go up this staircase. It was obvious that if they wanted to step on the ancient parasol tree, they had to climb up the jade staircase to the top of the mountain. Then, they had to obtain the heart of the parasol tree from the top of the mountain. The 4 of them moved almost at the same time and rushed toward the jade staircase. Lu Ming rushed up the jade staircase and took a step. His body was as light as a swallow as he rushed toward the top of the mountain. Qin Yi and Mu Qingxue did the same. However, when Lu Ming looked at them, he realized that something was wrong. Huang Ling's body was glowing as if she was under great pressure and was climbing up with difficulty. Not only her, but Huang Kong, Huang Bing, and Huang Xian were also in the same situation. They seemed to be under great pressure and it was extremely difficult for them to climb up. Other than the 4 of them, the rest of the people who came to help seemed to be very relaxed. At that moment, the rest of the people also noticed this strange scene and all of them stopped. How could this be? This jade staircase will form a powerful pressure on those who cultivate the phoenix physique. Huang Kong said. This might have been built a long time ago to test the younger generation of the Phoenix clan. Huang Ling said. Chapter 1754. Huang Bing, I will get the heart of the parasol tree for you. The 9th prince of the Golden Crow tribe said. He then turned into a ray of golden light and rushed up the jade stairs. The heart of the parasol tree is mine. Wan Tianlong, who was beside Huang Kong, said as he rushed up the stairs. Then, Mu Qingxue, Qin Yi, and the others rushed up the jade stairs, afraid that they would be too slow. Lu Ming did not move. He felt that it was not that simple. If the jade stairs were really a test for the younger generation of the Phoenix tribe, it would be useless for the others to go up. Lu Ming was not the only one who did not move. The great Baron sword sect disciple beside Huang Bing also did not move. He carried his sword and stood beside Huang Bing. Huang Ling, Huang Bing, Huang Kong, and Huang Xian were doing their best to climb up. Mu Qingxue, the 9th prince of the Golden Crow tribe, and the others came down from the peak. We can't go up the ancient parasol tree. There is a powerful force stopping us. Mu Qingxue said. According to my guess, it's very likely that only those with the phoenix physique can ascend the parasol tree and obtain the heart of the parasol tree after passing the test. Lu Ming guessed. That's possible. Mu Qingxue nodded. The others also thought of the same thing and stood behind Huang Kong, Huang Bing, and the others. Now, Huang Ling and the others could only rely on themselves. Whoever reached the peak first would obtain the heart of the parasol tree. Huang Ling and the others walked up step by step. However, their speed was very slow. It seemed that the higher they went, the greater the pressure they felt. There are too many people here. I think we should let some go down. The 9th prince of the Golden Crow tribe's eyes shone with golden light as he looked at Huang Ling and Lu Ming. I also think that there are too many people. Why don't we get rid of some? Another young man beside the 9th prince of the Golden Crow tribe said. Bam! Bam! The two of them stepped out and walked toward Lu Ming and the others. Only the great Baron sword sect genius did not move. G.A. The 9th prince of the Golden Crow tribe transformed into his true form. His body was covered in the divine sun flame and his wings were like blades as he slashed at Lu Ming. The other person blasted towards Huang Ling. As long as he could knock Huang Ling off the jade staircase or even injure her, he would be able to get rid of one opponent for Huang Bing. Huang Ling was trying her best to resist the pressure from the jade stairs and could not resist at all. Scram! Mu Qingxue shouted. She fought against that genius and blocked that person. On the other hand, Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he struck the 9th prince's wings with his palm. Clang! The sound of metal striking metal rang out. The Golden Crow 9th prince's wings were tougher than ordinary saint weapons, but Lu Ming's attack could even split a saint weapon. Lu Ming's attack directly broke through the 9th prince's Grand Sun divine fire. The terrifying power of the hell-suppressing heavenly art surged towards the Golden Crow's wings. The 9th prince's body trembled as if he was electrocuted, and he quickly retracted his wings. Sick bird, I'll pluck all your feathers today. Lu Ming shouted coldly. He stepped forward and used the hell-suppressing heavenly art. His palm was like a knife that continuously struck the 9th prince. The 9th prince roared and flapped his wings wildly. Two suns formed on his wings, completely formed by the Grand Sun divine fire. They were extremely powerful and blasted towards Lu Ming. But Lu Ming ignored him. He stepped forward and used the law of chaos. He used the hell-suppressing heavenly art and struck out with his two palms. Bam! Bam! The two suns formed by the Grand Sun divine fire exploded. Lu Ming rushed over and continuously struck the ninth prince's wings with his palms. The ninth prince's body shook violently. He could not resist Lu Ming's terrifying power at all. After a few moves, the golden feathers on his wings fluttered and were continuously struck down by Lu Ming. Huang Jian, what are you waiting for? The golden crow ninth prince roared furiously. Whoosh! A visible sword light cut through the void and slashed towards Lu Ming. The sword light was black, but it was extremely sharp and terrifying. Bam! Lu Ming suddenly stepped forward and broke the ninth prince's defense with his palms. He grabbed one of the ninth prince's legs and swung it towards the sword light. The sword light slashed down and blood spurted out. The sky was filled with golden feathers. One of the ninth prince's wings was almost chopped off. Although it was not chopped off in the end, only half of it was hanging on it. It was a horrible sight. Lu Ming, I will kill you. The ninth prince roared crazily. He was like a chick that was about to be slaughtered and kept flapping in Lu Ming's hands. I didn't chop you. Why are you shouting at me so fiercely? Lu Ming grinned. He grabbed the injured wing of the golden crow ninth prince with his other hand and tore it forcefully. The golden crow ninth prince gasped a breath of cold air and let out a shrill scream. Let him go. The elite of the Great Baron Sword Sect stepped forward and stabbed Lu Ming with his sword-like eyes. Go ahead, but be careful. Don't kill this sick bird. Lu Ming said. The elite of the Great Baron Sword Sect was extremely powerful. He had reached the great circle of the Bright Sage realm and was much more powerful than the ninth prince. Clang! The elite of the Great Baron Sword Sect unsheathed his sword. It was a metal sword. The metal sword flew across the sky and slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming threw the golden crow ninth prince at him. The eyes of the Great Baron Sword Sect's elite narrowed. He put away his iron sword and slapped with his other hand, forming a huge palm print and blocking the golden crow ninth prince. Huang Jian, kill that brat. The ninth prince roared. Back off. Huang Jian's words were simple. After that, he returned to Huang Bing's side. Lu Ming gave him a strong sense of pressure. He felt that he was not confident in defeating Lu Ming. Lu Ming, remember this. The ninth prince looked at Lu Ming coldly and returned to Huang Bing's side. He bathed in the divine sun fire and started to recover from his injuries. The elite who was fighting with Mu Qingxue also retreated. Wan Tianlong and the other elites looked at Lu Ming seriously. Lu Ming was so powerful that he could defeat the ninth prince. The ninth prince was at the peak of the Bright Sage realm and was a divine beast. He was born with the power of the Bright Sage realm and could use the Bright Sun's superpower. His combat strength was no weaker than theirs. However, he was beaten up badly by Lu Ming. The people around them quietened down and waited for Huang Ling, Huang Bing, Huang Kong, and Huang Xian to fight. The four of them shone brightly and formed the shadows of phoenixes of different colors. They tried their best to resist the pressure of the jade stairs and slowly climbed up. At first, the four of them were walking side by side. However, Huang Xian was soon at a disadvantage and was overtaken by Huang Ling and the other two. Huang Xian was unwilling to give up. She tried her best to catch up, but the distance between her and the three of them was increasing. Huang Ling, Huang Kong, and Huang Bing were walking side by side. Chapter 1755. Bam! 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 The three of them climbed one step at a time. Every step they took caused the jade staircase to creak. Phoenix cries could be heard from the three of them. Huang Ling was bathed in the undying flame as though she was about to turn into an undying phoenix. Gradually, Huang Ling took the lead and surpassed Huang Bing and Huang Kong. Huang Bing and Huang Kong's faces darkened. They were unwilling to admit defeat. Were they going to lose to Huang Ling and let her obtain the heart of the parasol tree? They knew very well that this mission was a test from the upper echelons of Phoenix Palace. The palace lord would pay close attention to it. Whoever won would be able to suppress the other saints and saintesses. They would be valued and receive more resources in the future. Only then would they have the capital to challenge the stronger saints and saintesses. For a powerful faction like Phoenix Palace, there were too many geniuses. In every generation, there would be a saint and saint. How many geniuses would there be from generation to generation? If they wanted to stand at the top and compete for the position of the palace master, they would have to surpass all the other geniuses. Now, if the 7 saints and saintesses were unable to come out on top, they would be relegated to supporting roles in the future and would not be able to compete for the position of the palace master. Unless they had a heaven-defying opportunity in the future. Time passed slowly. Huang Ling's lead became more obvious and she was getting closer to the top of the mountain. The 9th prince, Wan Tianlong, Huang Jian, and the other geniuses did not look too good. After all, they had been invited by Huang Kong and Huang Bing to help. Naturally, they would want to help them come out on top. This way, they would be proud. Huang Kong and Huang Bing looked at each other. Then, a vicious look flashed in their eyes. Let's team up and knock Huang Ling down first. Then, we can compete. What do you think? Huang Kong sent a voice transmission to Huang Bing. Alright, I have the same idea. I will send a voice transmission to Huang Jian and the rest. Huang Bing nodded. Then, she sent a voice transmission to Huang Jian and the 9th prince. She planned to team up with Huang Kong to deal with Huang Ling first. At the same time, Huang Kong sent a voice transmission to the 3 geniuses he had invited. The 9th prince's eyes lit up and a cold killing intent flashed in them. Beside Huang Kong, Wan Tianlong and the other geniuses looked at Lu Ming and the rest and nodded silently. Then, in a flash, 6 sky prides charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Oh no, Huang Kong and Huang Bing have joined forces to deal with Huang Ling first. Mu Qingxue exclaimed. It wasn't hard to guess what was going on. Guard the phoenix spirit well. The 2 of you guard the left and right sides. I'll guard the bottom. Lu Ming said. He stood behind Huang Ling, looking down at the Golden Crow 9th prince and the others. Get out of here. The Golden Crow 9th prince glanced at Lu Ming. In the end, he did not dare to fight and charged towards Qin Yi. The other Sky Pride charged towards Mu Qingxue. As for Huang Jian, Wan Tianlong, and the other 3, they attacked Lu Ming at the same time. Lu Ming's combat strength was the strongest. As long as he dealt with Lu Ming first, the rest would be easy to handle. Clang! Huang Jian's iron sword was unsheathed and slashed through the void, making a terrifying whistling sound as it slashed towards Lu Ming. At the same time, Wan Tianlong's body was covered in light, and sacred weapons appeared one after another. There was a total of 72 sacred weapons, and one of them was a great sacred weapon. The aura of the sacred weapons gathered together, and its power was extremely shocking. It charged towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. It wasn't Wan Tianlong, but another young man in a purple robe. This person was actually at the great circle of the bright sage realm, just like Huang Jian. He was extremely powerful, and a terrifying giant snake charged towards Lu Ming with a palm strike. 2 great circle of the bright sage realm, and 2 peak bright sage realm. The 4 of them joined forces, and their power was terrifying. They were going to kill Lu Ming. Back in Sangzhou, Lu Ming had used all his strength to kill a great saint in the initial stage. However, that was only an ordinary great saint. Now, these 4 people weren't ordinary saints, but all of them were elites. They were existences with heavenly spiritual bodies, and their divine skills were even more powerful. Each of them was someone who could fight against those above their level. For example, Huang Jian and the young man in a purple robe. Although they were at the great circle of the bright sage realm, their combat strength might not be weaker than the great saint in Sangzhou. Kill! Lu Ming let out a loud roar and cast the divine sword art. Sword gleams pierced through his eyes continuously. Huang Jian and the other 3 shuddered, but Huang Jian and the young man in a purple robe recovered in an instant. They didn't stop attacking, and charged towards Lu Ming. Only Wan Tianlong and the other person were affected more. What a strong soul power. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. These elites couldn't be judged by common sense. Not only were their combat strength strong, but their soul power was also stronger than ordinary people. Most of them had treasures that could defend their soul. Lu Ming's divine sword art didn't affect them much. Fight! Lu Ming executed the hell-suppressing heaven skill, and threw out a few palm strikes. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming destroyed Huang Jian's sword light and the young man in a purple robe's attack, but his body couldn't help but tremble. However, immediately after, Desolate Sword and the others launched even more berserk attacks. What they used were all divine abilities. Divine skills at 30% completion. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Huang Jian and the young man in a purple robe's divine skills had reached 30% completion, and their power was extremely terrifying and destructive. Although Wan Tianlong and the young man in a purple robe were weaker, they were still a threat to Lu Ming. Chaotic Calamity Finger. Lu Ming executed the Chaotic Calamity Finger for the first time, and he struck out 4 fingers consecutively. 4 huge fingers in the color of chaos, containing destructive power, pointed towards the 4 people. Bam! 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 The 4 people's attacks were instantly destroyed. Huang Jian and the young man in a purple robe shuddered, and they took a few steps back. As for Wan Tianlong and the young man in a purple robe, they spat out mouthfuls of blood. Although the Chaotic Calamity Finger was only at 18% completion, its power was more powerful than the 30% completion of a divine skill that was cultivated from an ordinary law. The Law of Chaos. Could he be the son of chaos? Huang Jian's eyes were filled with shock as he recognized Lu Ming's law. So what if he is the son of chaos? He hasn't matured yet, and I will still kill him. The young man in a purple robe shouted, and purple light burst out. He waved his hands continuously, and huge purple snakes pounced towards Lu Ming. The 2 of you, go and deal with Huang Ling, leave Lu Ming to us. Huang Jian said to Wan Tianlong and the young man in a purple robe. All right. Wan Tianlong and the young man in a purple robe nodded. They planned to go around Lu Ming and charged towards Huang Ling. Stay here. Lu Ming shouted. His glabella shone and the Tai Chi array disc floated out. Then, the Tai Chi diagram appeared and turned into yin-yang fish swords. They charged towards Wan Tianlong and the young man in a purple robe, blocking their path. At the same time, he executed the Chaotic Calamity Finger and fought against Huang Jian and the young man in a purple robe. Lu Ming alone blocked the 4 supreme talents, preventing them from getting close to Huang Ling. The rest of the people were shocked, especially Huang Kong and Huang Bing, who could not keep calm. They had never seen Lu Ming before. Which force was he from? His combat strength was too terrifying. He was only at the initial mastery of the Bright Saint Realm, but his combat strength was simply heaven-defying. He could actually fight against the 4 supreme geniuses. Moreover, the law that he controlled seemed to be the legendary law of chaos. Could he really be the son of chaos? You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.